tange host. Juu hakuna job tunadu. Physical events haziko. Hakuna gigs zetu. We were so big in experiential marketing because the youth market ilikuwa imefunguka. So anyone who wants that market alikuwa anakuja kwetu. But now, so we call each other, hey, before kusettle, tupige kitu. Then hawa say walikuwa wanafanya job za campus nini, wanakuwa wanoma. Like the entire team of SPM Buzz was the team that was doing event management and experiential. So they grew into that. So the day the loads were crossed. So what happened? This thing, manze, so hiyo time nilikuwa sijaomoka, nilikuwa naishi Thika Road. So natoka kwa balcony hivi.
Grow up.
So natoka kwa balcony hivi. Mungu ni nani? Roadblock iko hapo ya Uhuru. Manze, yani ndio hii. So na boy wangu alikuwa anaitwa Edu hapo. Naambia Edu, si ndio hii sasa. Shuka na simu hapo. So anashuka ana record, and that's the video that made SPM Buzz. Because no one else had that news. Na ilikuwa imefungwa immediately. So NTV ilikuwa na time ya kufika, Citizen nini. Yeah. So we got it on the spot and it went viral. That's when people started asking SPM Buzz ni akina nani. And it created something new that's working for us now.
And you mentioned NTV. We were there and you did tell me you're starting your own media house.
Yeah.
I didn't know whether to take him seriously. He's a joker, not in that way.
Do you want us to tell them the reason why I said that?
Yeah.
It's because I felt like every star has been made by media.
Yeah.
And I don't see any star being able to control how the media works or being in a position to influence the decisions by the media house. So the format has been, let me take you, because you are hot now, piga maliza, nichukue huyu, niende kwa huyu. So we keep on complaining, ni aje tuko na products poa zingi kwa media. Wale wasee wako biashara watuelewi, si wasanii. It's about profits and losses.
Right. Directors
hata wanangi hizo TV. But sisi tutakuwa in control lini.
Yeah.
So I felt like we really need something. Like the idea of SPM Buzz was that for the first time, let's have something controlled by artists.
Right.
So that we can know what the public want na tunawapatia hiyo. Because me naweza kusikia ni kwamba kitu yako ni noma, tunaweza iweka hapa. But kuna mtu mwingine hata iona hivyo, unaona?
Right.
So I was tired with the thing of having to take 8 months convincing someone that I can do an idea. Then after 8 months I'm told no. That's why I started independent productions on YouTube. Like I ran a whole series on YouTube with the same budget like your TV. Risk taking, inaweza enda mbaya usote vibaya sana.
I think he deserves a clap from everyone here.
Yeah.
I mean, the story that he's given, kuuza hewa lakini inajipa.
Hewa uza bro.
And so we really appreciate that. So Adelle, I believe your mic is now sorted. And your journey, because we did speak about this a few weeks back when we were launching Wazo, and you did tell me it took some years for you to realize profit for you as a podcaster and from your podcast. How was that journey for you to change just the passion to some paper?
To some paper. Okay, so first, even before I answer, I just have to say congratulations to Njugush and Butita. I think it's so important for not only as creators on the continent, but just as Africans to have our own platforms.
Yeah.
So even a link that you can't forward is so important because you're building a platform that's ours. So somebody can't just wake up and manipulate what Africans get to see. So I think it's fantastic what you're doing. When I started podcasting, same frustrations of the media industry. I felt like we were not adapting. We could see media houses, funnily enough, in Australia that were completely shutting down. But we were just acting like, oh, okay, so this entire media house shut down and we're just moving on, you know? So when I left, thought I was done with media and I was going into the NGO world. But then I started podcasting for fun. And it just was something that I loved. I love audio. But as I kept going, I think we monetized 40-something or 50-something weeks in. Is when a client came to me, and I love selling because I love money. A client came to me, and I'd always thought, this influencer thing is not a thing, and it's not sustainable. It's actually not a thing. I mean, I want your money, yes, but it's like, where is the sustainability? So when they came for me, I was like, actually, there's something else here that I feel like will give you more value because it's not restricting you only to me, but an audience that perhaps is is much deeper and much wider.
Yeah.
And in a pitch, I just pitched the podcast.
Yeah.
And they came on board. I think that was the World Youth Forum, so it was an Egyptian company we were dealing with then. And then there was Coca-Cola Foundation and the Women Economic Fund. And so when I saw, I was like, oh, okay. And if there's one thing traditional radio knows how to do, is how to make money. And so being in radio for 10 years, I just said, okay, fine, let me go back and see. This thing can actually be a business. What does it need? Yeah. And so I broke it down a bit further, and then now I would pitch, and I still pitch, what do you call this? I still pitch. 90% of my job is pitching. At anywhere I go to, I'm just like, ding, 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 ding. I see money there, I see money, and I'll pitch. But then I also realized, okay, so I can get the advertising on the podcast app and going, but there's an audience that likes video. And I also want to deliver on my promise on amplifying African stories. There's also touring. When I was quitting, I hated that I had to go at 5 a.m. to this box on Waiyaki Way and pretend that I knew what was happening in life, but life was happening outside there, right? So I remember even telling my CEO then, I just want to be out of this box. Like, why am I in this box? And so I developed content around that to go on the road, which then opens up different advertising opportunities because different clients have different needs. So there's some who can sell and advertise on audio only, but there's some who need visuals. There's some who want to go on the road. There's some who have different qualitative targets they have. It's not really pushing a product. Yeah. And so I was able to sell that. But I also then realized I don't want to depend on advertisers only. So I was like, this business needs to make its own money internally so that even when there are no advertisers, there's money coming in. We can pay off all our overheads. And so we built a curriculum. A lot of us think that money comes from only the sexy parts. A lot of money comes from the non-sexy parts of creativity. So we built a curriculum, but it's also because...
Just explain that for people who...
Sexy and non-sexy.
Just explain that.
Butita, what did you do wrong?
No, I'm just interested in the non-sexy. The sexy I know.
In the
Just
sexy
break it
or
down.
non-sexy?
The sexy I know. The non-sexy.
Break it down.
Yeah, so my thing is, because as a business, one of our missions is to, and when we'll get further in our conversation, but one of our missions is to ensure we upskill Africans when it comes to creating digital content. But how do I upskill you in a way that you can build this content sustainably, right? Because right now, this space is a scene. How does it become an industry when we have more stakeholders? So I need more creators. I need more of us in this space, and I need you to stay, not give us 5 episodes and then come off. I need you to think about building a media business. I need you to really see long term. And so that's how we built the curriculum and then now workshop it for different organizations. So we make money through partnerships with different organizations. We hold our own internal workshops that are free for the public. And then events. And then we opened up events and syndication because the podcast also plays on Trace. So that's a distribution and revenue angle. But for me, it's to say as sustainability is key. Yeah. Because you can be making money today and COVID comes. And advertisers pull budgets, how will you still be hitting your all your costs that you have monthly? Yeah. How do you make money for your projects that are coming next year? So I want to go on tour next year. What does that look like today? You know, I think when we step back from content, content creation is one department. If you look at how media houses work, right? It's one department. And then you step back and there's marketing, there's innovation, there's so many other things. The non-sexy bits, the IT is huge, right? But they were like in a corner but it's important. So when you step back and then you start saying, okay, I can monetize here, 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 because you want almost all the money, right? And so for me, where we're at now is to really make sure the business makes money from multiple places internally that I have control over. Okay. Yeah.
Claudia, there's this pressure. Maybe it's seeming pressure for someone in the audience, but maybe it's actual pressure to show this lavish lifestyle, portray that life is all good. And perhaps that's why the government is coming for this economy, creative economy. What's your thought on that?
Honestly, Butita said it, uza hewa. So lazima upige kipindi.
Okay.
As someone in the entertainment space, guys will not pay attention to you if you're not giving them a reason to pay attention to you.
Okay.
If you see someone flaunting money online, it's because they want people to pay attention to them. That's how they attract eyeballs. So flaunting that lifestyle, kuna venye unaweza uza kipindi vizuri, but usijiumize pia sana.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's something you had mentioned before. I think it was in a post about the pressure to put out a certain lifestyle. Just speak to that briefly before I bring it.
I think you shoot yourself. You actually shoot yourself in multiple ways. You shoot yourself from KRA because they actually do digital audits. So you're filing nil returns, but you've bought a new house, you've bought this. So you're shooting yourself in that. I'm not, it's just my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think also you shoot yourself in terms of expectations, because then you have to top the next thing. And we see it every day, right? So I put up a post of money and I'm counting it and it's 100,000. Next week, Njugush puts his and it's 1 million. I have to top this guy because now people are like, that's the standard. So then I feel like, and maybe it's age also, but I also feel like back to sustainability. How do you ensure that you don't have to be the one doing the publicity stunts all the time? So step back and then build something that doesn't require that. I understand sexy, I understand glam, and things can be packaged in a way, like you've said, don't hurt yourself, in a way that you don't set an expectation that you're broke, but you can't take a matatu. Because last week you were counting for us 100, like what are you doing here with us? So we have to take care of our minds, our creative spaces, and make better sustainable decisions. But I'm also in a space that doesn't require that of me, thankfully. So I might be coming from some level of privilege, right? But I think we need to think long term. We need to think sustainability. We need to think, how can we be taken seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's a balance there. Unauza hewa lakini bado pia lazima kuwe realistic. What do you think about that?
I think creatives, that's where actually some creatives become conflicted. Ukiuza, now you're showing money, there's a certain way you have to package your brand. Okay. It requires money to package your brand that way. So I believe this creators don't get much education on finances. So best advice for a creator is just get someone who will advise you on how to spend your money, how to invest. I'll tell you for sure, this guy here, this guy has been my best friend for a very long time.
Thank you.
And this is the guy who has...
Best friend.
Your father.
Yeah.
And this guy is one of...
Bestie.
Bestie. This guy is one of the smartest people I've ever met.
Oh, stop it.
Butita tells me, do this. He was my first boss, by the way. And he's the one who's really ushered me into the entertainment space. Just the other day, nilikuwa namwambia, by the way, there's this kabiashara I started. And it's from the way he was directing me. So I think every creator needs someone who has some knowledge.
Okay.
Yes.
But who is there for me?
I'd like to bring in someone. If we have another mic, I'd like to throw it to Vivian in the... Is that blue or purple? Forgive me, colorblind. The mic is on there. I apologize. Vivian Ethangata, she's corporate communications manager at Safaricom, and she handles influencer management. And I'd like you to speak to something that we've heard come out here. It hasn't been said clearly, but there seems to be a trend that companies and corporates are going to individuals more than established media houses. Would you confirm that? Is there an increased pattern? And what explains it?
I
think you're good?
Okay. I think media in general over the years has evolved, and it also depends on what your objectives are when you're deciding the type of media channel to use. So I don't think it's completely shifted. It's based on what your objectives are. because at the end of the day, there are still people who think traditional media is the way to go, or that's what you're calling success with regards to PR. And there's still another set of, there's a wider audience also on digital as well. So I think it's really important to know who your target audience is and the type of message that you're trying to share out there. That determines the best channel to use.
Just still explain to us, what do you go for? When you go to Butita, when you choose Claudia, what makes them stand out and you choose them? Is it because he was in a jet the other day and there were many views on that video? No, manze bro, ni bebe siku moja tu.
Ni jet tu manze.
But what is the big buy-in?
Okay. I always say this every time I'm in platforms such as this.
Yeah.
People will always believe what other people say versus what a brand says.
Yeah.
And that's because at the end of the day, you're more likely to believe an experience a person has had versus what I'm pushing to you through all my ads and all my messaging and stuff like that. So I believe a lot of these content creators, the ones we have in the room and the ones in the digital space, you've all taken time to build an audience. You're authentic in your own way. You tell your message in your own kind of voice, whether it's your style, whether it's comedy, or whether it's fashion, whether it's lifestyle, whether you're dancing. So again, when it comes to choosing who it is we want to work with, it's what are we trying to achieve?
Yeah.
Who are we trying to reach? What kind of style do we want to communicate with? What kind of reach? Are we using a macro influencer, micro influencer? Are you looking for engagement? Are you looking for awareness? Do I want to use someone with millions of followers like Njugush? Or do I want to use someone who is good at storytelling, for instance, like Wamadhai and Katwanya, Rehab? Are we looking for a long format where I want to tell a story and I want you to be able to understand what I'm trying to do because you're telling a story that will end up showing you what, for instance, our purpose, which is transforming lives. I'll use someone who's doing long form content. If I want to set the record straight without having to use my corporate page, I'll also rely on people who I know can spread that message in a way that is believable in their own style. So I think those are some of the factors that we consider.
I don't know if there's any reaction to what she has said, and feel free to do that, but I was meant to ask a question to a gentleman who's given this space to many of the faces that I see here, even Njugush has mentioned, and that's Maurice Otieno. I don't know if he's in the building or he has ghosted us. Maurice, you can feel free to send it to me on Gmail, but if not, I'm told Wanjiro can be able to speak to the point that Maurice was able to. All right, so Wanjiro, chukua your mic and tell us, in this speaking to the aspect, umechukua mic kama unakata? Because kuna vile umeishikilia. Sawa. Because Maurice ideally has given space to many creatives, but what he's trying to do is really challenge the difficulty that has been in sustaining traditional media, and now to give people alternative means of funding. Having seen what Baraza Media Lab does and also what they look to achieve, how possible is it for someone who doesn't quite have a foot in traditional media, but has some content and has a passion in collaborating in this space?
How easy is it now?
Yes, how possible it is. Is it, because you've collaborated in this space as well, and you can speak to that in your own capacity and the body that you represent.
Okay, thank you for that question.
You're good.
Okay. Okay. It is very easy, especially with a community. Like, I know right now we are at Baraza, and it is a physical space, but it's not just a physical space. It is also a community, of artists to work together. For example, you've seen that Butita is a mentor, to Claudia, and that means that he can also be a mentor to other creatives working in, in this space. We also do lunch and learn programs where people are able to learn about branding, about what he's talking about financial hygiene, about what Adelle is talking about keeping your mind safe and things like that. So it's not just developing you as an artist with regard to content, but also developing you as an art, like as a wholesome individual. And there are plans to do that. We are also looking to improve on that but we are big on having a community of creators and people working within the media and media-related space. Me, myself, personally, as me, when I came...
Me, myself.
Me, myself, as me personally, I came into this space as a podcaster who did not even know anything about podcasting. I was with Summerbox. I was the first incubator, at Summerbox. And now I am, doing, I think incredible things, if I do say so myself. And and this is just like, we all don't have to take the same path, but when you have a community and a foot in and you know what you can do, then what is possible becomes almost endless as you continue to unfold, as you continue to trust the process.
Right.
And what Adelle has said about you walk in, but don't walk in to walk out. Don't walk in, you don't come out jiamini kidogo. Believe in yourself and also believe that the community you're in is also a community that will uplift you. And that is what we are working on as Baraza and also as Semabox, with their incubator and every program within Baraza.
You echo something, and if someone can bring a mic to Mushiri here seated next to me, just so that he doesn't fall asleep. And this is to the question of, the new tax regime. And you can speak to that and how you feel that will affect the Finance Act. But even from what Wanjiro said, Adelle has said earlier, we have spoken to the fact that we need more people in this sector and in this space. I like that about the digital economy. Hamko, with that poise of, no, we are full, we're saturated. There's enough for everyone. There's someone who can speak about, her being a mom, her journey of being a mom. There's someone who can speak about, hair care for bald men. I know him, that's why I'm picking on him. But there's something for everyone and there's an audience out there. And I like that. You've spoken to it. We need as many people to have a bigger, stronger voice within this space. But Mushiri...
Can I just speak to community? It's such an important point on community. We can't call ourselves an industry if we don't know who is in the industry. So spaces like this are so important. For example, when we went into COVID and the government said, it's a huge scandal that I think, I don't know when it'll break, that they were going to give people in the creative economy money. My first question was, who are these people? Because where's the database, right? So communities are important for us to know who is in there, one. Two, if we want to unionize, we can unionize because we know who these people are. Three, how do we hold the governing bodies accountable, or how do we engage with them for policy change? We can't do it as one-one. You get what I mean? So spaces like this are so important for community, for us to, I'm not starting a revolution, we're not taking down anyone mandamano, but like for us to know who we are, I just felt, when you say community.
Well, you do have a track record for revolutions. Not too long ago in France. Go for it. But yeah, and feel free to also respond to it on how you feel, because you're also a content creator. And hey, I've seen your new songs and up on YouTube. Well done, well done.
Thank you.
Mike Mushiri, everyone.
Yay.
Yay, Mike. Tumemhype kitu, eh? So anyway, how do you see the new tax regime affecting? Are you worried? Have you already started making adjustments? Perhaps how you quote to prospective clients, like Vivian over there. Make it a little closer.
Obviously, you have to change. But I thought my first question would be easy, so.
You could sing, get away with it.
But yeah, I've been in a similar space where influencers, we were previously discussing about the suggested 15% from the normal 5%, and we were saying it would be, if it was implemented, the implementation would be a bit premature, because the creators we've just started establishing ourselves. Like we've just arrived. We've just begun, getting good money out of content creation. So introducing the taxes, the crazy taxes, because 15%, 5% to 15%, that's really crazy. It would be kind of premature. But thank God it's still 5%. But still, the taxes, because you're being taxed left, right, center. Taxes inapanda too. Unafungua tu Twitter. You don't even want to open Twitter in the morning. Because maybe I use Twitter in the morning as a newspaper. Because, So unafungua tu Twitter, unaona tu hapo, a new tax has been introduced. An existing tax has been raised by what percentage? What's going to happen? and it's obviously gonna affect us directly as content creators and even as influencers, because now we're gonna quote higher, you know, because I mean everything kama tax inapanda, everything inapanda.
Yep.
If fuel, every single product, so that means hata wewe enda na bei. Enda na bei. So if you're previously quoting a certain amount, you know, you have to now upquote, you have to ongeza ama kama auko unaongeza withholding tax, now you unaambia agency or even the client, if the client is approaching you directly, you know, you have to sort the withholding tax, because you see the taxes and everything. And it's also going to affect, you know, like the whole creative economy in Kenya, because, you know, agencies or even brands may opt to use the traditional ways of marketing and advertising, TVCs, billboards, and all that kind of stuff. For say, influencers are too expensive, let's just drop them for now. Or even they drop you midway. Wanna come here, that quote, man, it's just too high, and we've decided to go with a cheaper influencer. You get? So it's definitely affecting us directly.
All right.
Yeah.
You've said you just got started. When did you start? I mean, you exploding on TikTok. Mimi nimekuona through Safaricom. Nimekusikia through Safaricom.
My bosses Safaricom wako hapa tuko crowd.
Oh, quote imechange.
Well,
but yes, I mean, when did you start? Like, tell us about, you know.
My journey is very funny, and I love telling it because I never pictured myself to be where I am today, to be in the creative space. Because I was a bookworm. My goal was just to be in school, do my bachelor's, apply for so many scholarships, and go and do my master's abroad. That was always my thing. Yeah, because I did biomedical science. I can see a few people whom we
hold up.
Yeah,
you did what?
I did biomedical science. Biomedical science.
No shade. And he's 23.
I'm 25.
25.
Yeah,
25 now.
Yeah. So I
Well
did
done.
biomedical science.
25.
So I started content creation while I was in year 2. I was in my second year.
Yeah.
And I started as a hobby. You know, actually the first video I did, sikuwa na expect it to go as viral as it did.
Yeah.
And my platform then was Facebook. I was big on Facebook, by the way. I had audience here, guys from their late 30s, 50s, 60s. And you all wanna watch content on Facebook. So the first video I posted on Facebook, it went viral, 200K views. And then I got into Instagram, and I was like, oh, this is a thing I can do. That was in 2018.
Yeah.
And then in 2019, as 2019 commenced, I realized, you know, my grades go down in the gutter. You know, I have to, because you know, that was always my aim. My aim was always, you know, I have to be in school, go and do my master's. And even after I completed my 4th year, I was about to do my master's in global health advocacy and policy making.
Advocacy.
So 2020, actually funny enough, 2020 was the year that I started. I worked with a few brands in 2018 while I had just commenced and started getting like good viewership on social media. That was in 2018. But in 2020 was when 2020 Keisha, from August-ish, was when like I started like now getting good clients and, you know, like creating content for certain brands that I never thought I would work with. And then 2021 was a very good year for me. 2022, I won an award, Digital Media Awards. 2023, I mean, it's the Lord. But now, my journey has been very, you know, and now I'm currently, you know, I was like, masters, hell no.
Yeah.
I put that aside. Now I'm pursuing something completely different. And
you are the master of your destiny.
yeah, hallelujah. I'm the master of my destiny. So currently, I would say I'm a full-time content creator. Like that's what pays my bills. I'm a full-time content creator, and guys like Akina Butita and Njugush, they inspire us so much. You know, like I'm in a space where I swear, like I watched all the episodes of Njugush on YouTube on a certain guy who hosts celebs, and you know, they talk about their journey, and it was very inspiring. I would say right now I'm in a space where I'm working with brands, I'm just getting money, but sijui kwenye nitapeleka hizo pesa. And Claudia said, no, msione kama ni pesa mingi by the way. Msidanganywe. And Claudia said that if there's one thing influencers or creators need is financial advisors.
Right.
Because the culture in Kenya is influencers start getting money and they want to show people that nimeanza kupata pesa. They move wanatoka Thika Road kama Butita, wanaenda Kilimani, you see. Wanna upgrade from Mitsubishi, they get a Mitsubishi, you get Amjacheka? Okay. Yeah, so I heavily agree to in regards to what Claudia said, that we do need financial advisors. And what Njugush and Butita are doing, are establishing their own things on the side, you know, doing their tours in Australia, SPM bars. It's really inspiring, and it makes you just sit back and think, you know, I have to like look for something else. I'm not gonna be forever, you know, like working with brands and doing that the 2 minutes video, the 1 minute video. I'm not gonna forever do that. You see? So yeah,
I'm gonna let you say hi to mom.
My mom.
You know how you do it. Straight to the camera, right there, right there. Like
that's
how
a
you
long way to ask kama anaishi kwao bado.
Anaishi solo and single.
That's not necessary.
So I'm saying hi to my mom.
Mom, you know,
To
in character.
my-
In character, yeah, in character.
Oh, this is my comment. Also. Praise the Lord. But anyway, okay. I mean the wig is like the thing that really like makes me switch up. So ukiniambia nikiwa well dressed hivi, and then I speak like my mom.
Tell your mom uko na pesa ujui mali utapeleka.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, msi hii nini naenda wapi?
Itafikia mom.
Eh?
Itamfikia.
Yeah.
Lipa madeni.
Choma.
Anyway. Oh yes, and this is a social newsroom. So hashtag social newsroom, hashtag TSNR Africa. And Maurice Otieno is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. And a mic will come your way. Just pass this over to Maurice Otieno. You'll speak to how startups, you know, have navigated this space. No one prepared you. I mean, you are our host. Lazima uongee bwana. Lazima utoe sauti. But before, as you think about your answer on how startups in this space for creatives and creators can really be able to claim their space in this sector, let the man that you're tapping on his back to speak as well to issue at the new regime. Na pia nyinyi mtatoa maoni. Ile nyinyi mnaona ita affect. Has it already affected how you're operating? And do you see things being even worse for your industry?
Okay.
Wewe. Mic yako iko sawa.
I think I don't know where to start. But thing is, it's definitely going to affect. Like today, I was talking with my accountant, and he told me we need to start paying the house levy. So I'm like, that's a new house levy. I thought ni house wagava. So that's already home. Hatujaongea about fuel. Tunaenda shoot sijui wapi. Now we have to keep checking. Hamwezi shutia tu hapa. Bado hatujafika kwa digital tax. So the reason tulienda kuwekelewa mikono it's because we are always talking, and we realized, or rather I realized, that getting there, our watu huko hawaelewi what digital, because everyone is trying this digital thing. Kuna mama juzi ameniambia nimfungulie TikTok. Anataka kujaribu. We don't know how it's working. Yeah. So kumbe kule walienda wakasema, and people who should be able to talk kirea ile ulisema into power, they are not, because I saw someone say they don't know how to help us because we are showing money. Now, that's not the issue. The issue is, if niko na hiyo pesa yote na kirea haijajua, makosa ni ya nani? Honestly speaking. The issue is the issue was the 15%, because I was paying, if I'm making money, I ought to pay tax. That's because that's why I'm napiga kelele, hakuna hospitali, hakuna madawa. So the issue was the 15% withholding, because we were paying 5%. A doctor consultant is paying 5%. So why would I? And it was not even for me, and especially for people who by the virtue of how companies work. Like for example, Safaricom rarely would pay me directly. They're like, hey, pata kampuni for ABCD, so that it's an entity to an entity. So that way we are paying taxes. So mimi hata hiyo nikilipwa niende juu sijui mahali nitapeleka pesa ninunue gari, shida iko wapi? You get my point? So I was coming from a point of 15% is too much. Who informed this? So we talked with KJ because it was going to the floor of the house so that they waeleweshe, because people are just thinking, tulipe, kama unalipa walipa, but 15% is too much, considering other consultants they are paying 5%. Now this is where it gets tricky. There's someone bado, hana, they are not lucky enough to have brands on board. Wanategemea YouTube. So that's again another completely different discussion, because YouTube isha nyonya yao. Asante, I think 30, 45% na bado wanaendelea. Gava ikakuja ikanyorosha 1%, whatever. So at the end of the day, what am I left with? So it's going to be very expensive to produce. Consequently, those younger guys, when you know, as you start, unachukua ile pesa client anasema, you don't have the nini of rate card. Unapeana rate card, wanacheka, wanasema tuko na hii 5,000. Utachukua, uchukue. So it will get to a point where ukipatiwa 5K yezi kusaidia, and that's where you should be able to start so that to get sasa, tunaongea juu ya 15%. Thirdly, who is a content creator? And that's where I was struggling, because a doctor who is having a zahanati somewhere, they are doing content about how to, let's say for example, anafanya dental, how to take care of your teeth. They are doing content. However, their money is not coming from Instagram directly. Somehow it's coming from that zahanati. So they are doing everything in terms of taxing that zahanati. So will they also pay another tax here? So my point is, can we first of all make platforms? Can we make institutions? Can we structures? Because that's what we don't. The other time we were talking with guys for Konza. There is a whole thing coming up about digital, creative, whatever. Huko. Hakuna mtu anajua. So they are like, can we talk to you? Who is a digital? Do I go to that doctor? Nimwambia tunaitwa Konza. Do I come to Butita? Like you get, so I was starting from a point of, can we first of all take care of this? Instead of saying wanaonyesha pesa, man, we've done everything we can to be able to make that little money.
Yeah.
Then msee anakuja anasema, unajua sasa mnajionyesha. It's working. So come and find out how is it working, and make it not work for only few individuals, but for a lot of people. Because as we said, in one campaign, hawezi fanya campaign peke yako. So let's say for a client, so you need a lot of people in different, unataka comedy, unataka nini. Hiyo ikienda kuna another client on the other side. So we'll never run. And also in terms of, because sorry, this is the last one, I promise. Because what we've done is kila mtu anajuaga area yake. There's people who are doing lifestyle, specialized, if I may. Wengine tunafanya comedy, wengine wanafanya. So there's always that product for you. There'll always be that. There's enough grass for all of us. So my point was, if we make it very possible and easy for others, because other things are not working. Tunasoma microbiology, nini with clinical officer, tunasoma, and then mnajipata it's not working. But here, it's working, and it's working crazy. Like the way he's saying, if you really think about it, you take an average startup, if I may, of an influencer, a content creator, even for YouTube peke yake, and mtu alisoma na yeye, graduate. I'm not saying it's bad to graduate. He graduated and he's awesome, but you cannot compare the two. So my point is, there's really a beautiful thing happening down here. But sasa shida, when kitu ikiwaka tunakuja tunaigonga bila kuelewa. So we went and sat, and then the guy was like, haya, oh, so hata 8% bado ni juu. We're like, yeah, weka 5%, alafu bado we need to talk about these other guys who purely depend on this platform, because these platforms ni za nje. We don't have, say, leo YouTube wakifunga by then hivyo. Instagram leo wakifunga, rate card zetu they are null and void. You have nothing to show. So what again now, as because if we had a government that really cares about the content creator to tax them, then it will mean we had, because getting a website on is very expensive. Maintaining it is very expensive. So what is the government doing about the same before we talk about 15%?
Create it better.
Exactly. Na sasa hatujaongea vile kinaenda kuturamba about other taxes that I'm not going to talk about. Tusikue censored.
And I'll bring in someone as well, Rahab Gashango. I'll give you some minutes to prepare your answer in that aspect, because you're also a content creator, podcaster. You create, and you'd want to make money out of the effort that you put in. And if you see this as bringing some bottlenecks to you growing in that space, But Butita, umekanika unataka kuongea sana juu history ya tax.
Ni concentration.
Toa maoni.
About the, you are asking if this regime is...
The new tax regime, yes. Najua umekuwa State House mara kadhaa, lakini ongea tu.
kadhaa yani, State House. Yeah. So, first of all, it was a good thing that we are having a conversation about content creation on a national platform for the first time ever. Because I've been really trying personally, my own capacity and as SPM, we, in the previous government, we once had a privilege to host the Minister for ICT when we were launching our office. And there are some concerns we had about the creative economy. We were like, starting from how these platforms are managing the revenue.
Yeah.
Why is it that Kenya, we don't have full privileges like other countries? Why is it that other platforms are not monetizing in this country, but they're monetizing outside? So,
Kusao, is the mic on? Is the mic good? Yeah? Keep going.
So by that time...
Shati walikuwa wataka ufunge, mbona unafungua?
Non-sexy. It's the non-sexy.
Afungue kama nenda gym, kama...
The non-sexy you're talking about.
Iko tu sawa. So sorry.
You never know who's watching. So, I tried and we pushed that and asked them, okay, hizi vitu mbona zinafanyika hivi? But truth be told, it was two worlds. Hawakuwa hatuelewani, because the issue we are raising, tunaambiwa hiyo kitu iko, nyinyi mna complain bure. Tunaenda kwa dashboard, tunaonyesha ni aje hii platform monetize hapa, watu ambia hapana ina monetize. Hii kitu haiwaki hivi. So there was a very big disconnect between the government and the creative economy. Because the government was claiming that the things we are asking for are already there, but we know they are not there. So we didn't have a common ground to negotiate or have a conversation on how the industry can be enabled. And now the new regime comes in and an issue comes up. That's last year, where all this tax thing came from. Wacha niwarudishe nyuma kidogo ndo mjue niko na zandani. So last year, when during Jamhuri Day, that week there was something about innovation and creative something. So someone mentions, and it gets the president, that niaje, there are some platforms which do not monetize fully. And if they can monetize, a creator stands to get at a 200,000, others get 1 million. People were monetizing who had opened that these platforms outside the country were making close to 1 million.
Right.
And they're like, hapa kuna do. If you if Facebook, YouTube, nini, all monetization features are on, pesa itakam. Vijana wata make do. So the president during the Jamhuri Day celebrations mentions that Facebook will fully monetize, YouTube will give us all the features and what. And now a conversation starts within the government. There's money that's coming for the creatives from these platforms, which is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Once we say all these platforms are going to monetize fully, because by that time YouTube was only doing in-stream ads, and I think membership was not, they were trying to enroll membership in Kenya. Super stickers, super thanks, they were not there, all those features. And Facebook in-stream ads was not in Kenya. So the estimate was, if we put this thing on, Njugush is going to make an extra 1 million just from these platforms, or 1 million plus. Claudia is going to get 300 or 1 million plus. So how are we going to make money from this? So they decide to say, okay, niaje, 15%. Based on the platform's money. So it is, wakipata do ya platform, tunachukua 15 kama government. And now when it's being put down, there's a disconnect between the creative industry and the government. And now it is fronted as a to the entire creative content creation industry. It becomes like the creatives wanafaa lipe 15%.
Right.
Based on ile ilikuwa inafaa ifunguliwe monetization, ndio iko inakatwa. So kuna kwa na confusion. Tunalipanga withholding, tunalipanga watu wako na makampuni, kuna ma VAT. Are we going to pay another tax? So when the conversation gets heated, and that's where I want to appreciate them, they decided to involve creatives for the first time. And we were asked for opinions. Me, personally, I went to State House twice just to give, just to to say where do we think should be improved and how does our industry really work.
Do you think they're listening and they'll take your...
Yes, because what the list that we wrote, some of them have been attended to, others are yet to be attended to. Okay. But there was a big confusion between how the government works and how content creators work. But right now, the best thing is that we have that connect. Now we can raise issue and say, we, kuna taxi ulipa, inakaa hivi na hivi. Hii yenye mlikuwa mnasema ya platforms, hii yenye ilirudi 5%, actually inafaa kwa ile do yako ya YouTube ikikam, serikali inaichukulia huko before ifike. Hiyo ndo ilikuwa inadiscussiwa, but ilikuwa inamekiwa ikae discussion ya do yote overall unapata as a creative. That's why unaona walirudi kwa 5% and up to now we are like tumekuwa tunakatwa 5 kwa hizi magig.
Yes.
So hii 5 ina apply wapi? Ina apply kwa zile platforms sana.
Okay.
So hiyo disconnect ilifanya kwa confusion mob, but the best thing is that right now we are having that conversation. Sure. Na mkisema tuliekelewa mkono, oneni matunda ya mkono.
Okay. Yes, I see that Nyabura has something to say burning. Unaweza mpa mic tafadhali, unaweza mpitishia mic Nyabura?
Sasa ataweka wapi?
Usipeane yako, Butita usipeane yako. Butita usipeane yako.
You know I bought a dress for this, so I have to talk. I have to say something. I would like to speak from a perspective of my perspective.
On the monetization part or the tax regime?
The whole thing.
Okay.
I am a podcaster and a YouTuber, and I would say I'm probably more popularly known as an Instagram personality. Yeah. So growing up, I grew up watching American YouTube, and I would see how they would earn, you know, and I would see how much money they get from everything that I have been doing, to be honest. And I'd see that somebody from the US has 20K subscribers, and they got to 20K subscribers. They went and told their teacher to go home, told their dad, I don't need you, dropped out of uni, bought a house, got a car, and in Kenya, that's not the case at all. In fact, the CPM is disgustingly different. It's nauseating when you see how different it is when it comes to like an American creator and a Kenyan creator. You know, we weren't inducted. There weren't many of us before me, and I started in 2020. So by the time I was starting, I had expectations, you know, going viral. You see your meme, people are laughing. You have 200,000 views, you have 300,000 views, you have very many followers. And also, I come from a very liberated generation, so I'm a Gen Z. And so when I speak from a point of knowledge because people behind me worked to give me facts. And when I speak from a point of emotion because my emotions have been grown and have been watered, and so I know they're valid. And when I speak from a point of knowing that I deserve to speak because I'm a human being. Yeah. And by that perspective, from that perspective, I deserve to talk. I have a space, you know? So when you see the difference in money,
that sickens you.
I could cry. It's crazy.
I mean,
it's
I believe here it's what, at 100,000 followers or subscribers on YouTube, that's when you start getting something?
No, 240,000 watch minutes on YouTube, 240,000 watch minutes. Oh, and I would say I'm an accountant and I'm also a lawyer.
Yeah.
And I speak from a point of knowledge that even from a point of them being white and prejudiced, I'm black and I still don't get the same thing. It's the same platform. The people that pay for ads on that platform, for example, like, okay, I'm not gonna mention names, but big platforms, big companies that pay for ads in the same platform. So when we're being paid, I would say I feel shortchanged, to be honest. Because I can't say that at 20K subscribers, I went and told my dad, you know what? I'm a retire you, dad. I'm paying your mortgage, and you're free from all debt. You know?
Right.
In fact, if anything, I would be in more debt. And I would say this from a point of, I'm not underprivileged. I don't have to pay any bills. I come from a family that has been able to take care of me and to grow me till now.
Yeah.
And even as I continue my studies, I know that I have been catered for and I'm being catered for.
Got you.
But
And not everyone has that platform.
not everyone has
or
that.
privilege.
So even starting, knowing that I need a phone,
Yeah.
I need to pay for bundles, I need this or the other, 240,000 watch minutes, having those, and an American having the same thing is not, it's not equal at all.
Got you. He wanted the burning really shortly, and then I bring Ray up. Yeah.
But that's the issue of it's working. Yeah. So the issue of payment being different, we raised that, and they brought the heads of Google just to try and tell us why it happens that way in Kenya and versus the other countries. So they're like, in the other countries, companies have embraced online marketing. They're really buying a lot of ads. So the competition is high. So because they're bidding. So you have to bid high to get an ad space on a video. In Kenya, not many companies are buying ads online.
Okay.
So the bidding is a bit lower because you can buy online, it's either Safaricom, Glovo, Jumia, you see. So which makes it lower, the bidding is low, so the platform does not make more money yenye inaweza kwa split to the creators. But then we gave them a solution. If the problem with people advertising online is because of the process, because uko nje hata mse ana shop ndogo ana advertise online.
Yeah.
But sisi watu wengi waja embrace the process, getting a card, going to buy ads, what nini. Can you make it simpler for SMEs in Kenya so that anyone can run an ad online?
Okay.
So that will increase the bidding chances. Wase watakuwa na bid higher na tuta make domob.
Njugush nao nataka kuongea. Acha kwanza Adelle ongee, alafu tuongee kitu.
So this is the thing. I understand we do need to engage with government and we do need to have those conversations, and I'm thankful that you're having them. I think we also, so just 2 points. I think we also have to empower ourselves to go the whole route. So who are we holding accountable for what laws? And how are they tabling it, and did they do it, and what is it that we want? It goes back to what I said, who are the members of this industry we are talking about? Because even when I say my needs, as Adelle who runs this business, my needs are very different from your needs, right?
Yeah,
so if we don't come up with a system to really get everybody included, we'll be working on assumptions. Yeah. The last point is, I'm very skeptical about negotiating with oppressors. Very skeptical, because I just don't see a world where somebody who's benefiting from oppressing can actually have goodwill. So my thing is, it really throws back to who is in control of the business environment. It's the government, right? Yeah. It's people who we put in leadership who then say, hey, we know you're this company from whatever world. In our borders, this is how this operates, right? If you look at certain platforms in China, they have been like, if you don't operate the way as we want, please just step out. We have our own. So it still goes back to, what do we want for ourselves as a country and as an industry? We are the ones to set the terms, right? And if we don't do that, and if we negotiate with oppressors, they have wonderful words and wonderful lingo that will let you think that they really are for us, but they're not. And lastly, innovation. We have AI tools right now. We're at the start line with everybody. We need to be innovating that platform. What does it look like in a vernacular, local environment, right? How do we innovate for people who have a certain level of a smartphone or who speak a certain super vernacular language, right? What are their needs? Again, it goes back to who are we? Who's part of this industry? Right. Because they're Kikuyu podcasts. How I market a Kikuyu podcast, very different from how I market Legally Clueless, right? So I'm sorry, the Pan-African in me is coming out, but I just don't believe in negotiating with oppressors. You tell them, hey, here, the bad thing here is that they caught us unprepared.
All right,
That's the failure.
Njugush, really quick, Claudia,
Sawa.
and then Rhea.
I always struggle because it's sort of a catch-22. Because on one hand, let me give you an example. It's what we are having happened long time ago, USA. That's one. So it's catch-up. That's one. Two, I think they don't care what we are doing down here so much that, oh, mnasema mpunguziwe, wapunguze. Let me tell you, even if we were given money from hizo nini, haitafika huko. And it's for a reason. They are way ahead. Even if we wanted to pressure our SMEs and everyone to advertise, we never be there because as a country, we are not there. Let's take a case in point. Our biggest brand ambassadors, influencers of this country, the Eliud Kipchoge's, the who is who. Do you think Eliud Kipchoge will wait for the government to cater for his needs and flights? No. So, sisi wenyewe are the biggest. Sisi wenyewe we cannot be able to do that. The other day, unaona a whole champion, Omanyala. If you are to see a second-hand politician akipitishwa kwa hiyo JKIA, akipitishwa na hapo VIP, but what is happening to one of our greatest influencers? Nobody is taking care of them. So what makes us think, I know it's global village, the internet, but what makes us think that us, as content creators, sijui kama unanielewa, let's go to the doctors. We have some of the brilliant minds in this country. Watu wanasoma, watu wamesoma, and then all of a sudden, right now we have the greatest guys going out, nurses, doctors, wanaenda out, pilots. Pale JKIA wanakuja Katari nauliza ni aje? Wanapigwa kama Mbappe, na Mbappe angekubali. Wanapigwa pesa, wanakubali. So my point is, we must agree where we are, but at the same time, create solution. And that's why we are here, to create solutions that are homegrown. Like, for example, Kenyans are willing to support what you are doing. They are willing, ukieka event. However, uko wewe event, people will come. And those are your people. They pay you money, you put in the pocket. That's it. Gava inapata yake, unapata yako. So my point is, yes, it's good because we need these platforms. Si zetu, but we need them. Right. However, on the side, what are we taking? Because, for example, my website, I'd push it using my Instagram. But what if the government tightens Sharia on Google, and then Google realizes, oh, basi itabidi, oh, hata hizo website mnatumia, kuna kakitu ketu kako hapo. So I won't be able, like for example, what is happening right now in Russia and Belarus, wameweka restrictions. So there is a lot of things you cannot use. Like for example, what happened to a particular phone company in US, China. Vile China, US wakafunga, so they are no longer using the US. So my point is, that is them. They are 100 years mbele. I'm not saying tukae tu kiafrika juu sisi tuliachwa nyuma, but the reality of the matter is, hapo ndio tuko. Right. That's why right now, watu wanapatiwa chakula ya msaada bado. So if that is still happening, this is a wax in the spanner, where are we? Are we that special that tutaenda huko mbele, sasa tuko front seat, or it's up to us, because that's how I see it. It's up to us to create something, then the rest will join. And that's why now unaona gava ina join, jumeona kuna kitu ina happen.
Iko kitu.
Yes.
There's movement. Claudia, speak to it.
So I'd love to comment on what Adelle said. So Adelle said that she doesn't like negotiating with oppressors, or she does not support negotiating with oppressors. But as Kenyans, I'd say we have no choice. I'd not call them oppressors. I'd call them, this is our government, right? These are the guys who govern us. So this year, towards the end of the year, Jamhuri Day, we are celebrating the creative economy. These guys have been part of the conversation. I have been part of the conversation, and Talanta Hela initiative, and there are structures being placed. You know, you don't see results that time. Sindio, you guys have been brought to give solutions and whatnot, but you don't see results that time. It takes time to build a long-lasting structure. So I'd say, let's give this government the time. Towards Jamhuri Day, a lot of things will be unveiled by the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Sports and the Arts under Waziri Ababu, and we'll get to see what they have for creatives. And all of us will get to see. Also, you mentioned something about, I'm not remembering very well, because my thought process has been distorted kidogo, but you mentioned something about these laws, the laws governing creatives and whatnot. I was part of the Talanta Hela initiative as a council member, the ones who are gazetted and whatnot. And I'd say,
And what's not?
yes, and
Gazette.
yes, and the same creators who we are trying to. There's some laws are supposed to be amended and whatnot. Creators have complained about MCSK, sijui what. The same creators are the ones who came and fought the ones who were put there to represent them. You see, so there is also that disconnect. You mentioned community, being a community. We really need to be a community. It's very important. When we move as one front. So that when we speak to the government, tunasikika. Si ati wengine wanaenda State House, alafu behind kuna watu wengine wanaongea. We need to accept that, okay, these are our people, that this and these things are affecting us. You know these guys, DM them, tell them, yo, I hope you guys raised this and this and this and this. But for now, I'd advise all creators, don't come for the government, don't come for the creators who attend these events, because we are there to speak. Because we also face the same
And you're sitting
challenges.
in the middle of those who've attended, who've been to State House.
I say something?
But what she was saying about oppressors, I believe, also is more of the international.
Yes.
Yeah, the politics.
Companies, not the government. The company.
Yeah.
They are answerable to me.
Yeah.
They cannot oppress me, because then I should be empowered to fire them.
Yes.
Right?
There you go.
So the person who's oppressing is the person who comes to my space and then takes advantage of me. And then I have to say, hey, this is not fair what you're doing, especially if I can see you're doing it differently elsewhere. So you're capable. So then we have to be careful about, and I understand, we may not be, I don't know if I have my mic on or
It's on.
There you go.
we also need to be careful to understand, yes, where we are, but also remember where we want to go and what our value is. Because if you look at the business trends for a lot of these platforms, why is the focus Africa all of a sudden? The consumers are here, right?
Yeah.
So we have a value that we're bringing to the table, right? We're not just receiving. So we need to think about where we are. Yes, innovate for now, but also think 10 years from now, where in the world do we want to be?
Yeah.
I think amechukua kiti ya chairperson of, content creators of Kenya. Rahab, I'm sure you'll allow me to bring in Rahab here. As you've heard this conversation, I know you want to weigh in on that particular one. Rahab's managing editor and founder at Potentash. Speak first of all to what's happening here in terms of the monetization, the changing environment, and where we can actually claim our own voice and space.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, one of the key things that we have all been listening to is that a misconception that people have is that content creators were not paying taxes, which is not true. We were paying the 5%, especially when you work with agencies.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest issues I think that people forget is that content creators pay taxes in other ways that the government also doesn't consider. Like, I'm a publisher, so I do a lot of Facebook advertising, and I'm being charged 16% tax for that. And that's a very big distribution channel for me. And then we are also, like most of us, now you become a professional and you have to have a Google email. Google is also charging you 16% on top of what they're charging. Just to so now, and all of these things are being charged in dollars. So you feel the pain times 2. So there's that. But then one of the things I think we need to think about, because I don't think has really been discussed here, is some of the challenges, especially that minorities have in this creative space.
Because minority.
For example, women, persons with disability,
within the content creator space.
And then LGBTQ. Because one of the issues that we have and we've raised is a lot of times people want to give us training. We're attending training after training after training on how to create content, but no one is giving us funding opportunities. we don't want to keep, you know, you can be a perpetual student, but we want to make money. And there are not enough funding opportunities. And then when the funding opportunities come, there are so many people who are going after those same opportunities that it's very hard to get. And you can imagine, like, if you're a small content creator and then you're pitching for something and then you're with the heavyweights here, what are the chances? And you have a brilliant idea. What are the chances that they will give you that over someone who has a name like me? So that's one of the biggest challenges. And also the fact that, especially for women, as I've seen, a lot of women face a lot of cyberbullying. We're trying to create content, but we're also getting bullied. And one instance I want to talk about is last week there were some comedians who broke up. Their group broke up, and the guy was left with only women, and then the women left. And then the women were trying to put out content of their own. And the comments were so hateful. And I'm like, if the person who they broke up with had created the same content, everyone would have been like, oh my gosh, that's such awesome content. But because these women now are trying to find a space of their own, people are like, you're not even funny.
Right.
So we also have to talk about the other issues in the industry, that there's a lot of opportunity, and we should keep growing the opportunities, but we also have to deal with some of the issues. And another thing to do with that is we also need to deal with the issues of companies paying us late, because we want to pay taxes, but at the same time, our payments end up being late, and we are also paying people.
Got you.
So
you brought
that's a big
you brought up an issue
deal.
that actually Maurice, first of all, should just speak to the issue of funding startups and even the minority groups within this space of content creation. Speak to that, the challenge, how they can surmount it, because you speak on behalf of many in being able to get some support. That's how you're the executive director of Baraza Media Lab. People can share this space. And then I'll come to Grace to speak to that issue of cyberbullying, because there was a precedent set. I don't know whether you call it a precedent. The president, I'm on a precedent. A precedent, yes.
Precedent.
So Maurice, speak to that, startups and the funding challenge that Rehab has brought up.
Thanks, Mark. I'm so happy that this, first of all, is happening, because I think we, you know, they say the squeaky wheelbarrow gets the greasing. So I'm about to pige kelele, mpaka they hear that there's something called content creators. And by they, I mean from the powerful, your Google, your Facebook, your what, because they have some level of power. They're the ones who have the black box of, and the algorithms, right, that share the information. And I know, I don't know if you've noticed also, sorry, I'm not directly speaking to that, but if you put your link on these social media platforms, especially if it's a third-party link, the reach is reduced kidogo on Facebook and all the other platforms, because they don't want you to get out of the platforms, you know. So that's the power that they have. They have the power of even stifling, even when you try to speak on a kuleta chini, right? So when we are together, we can speak to that. We can speak also to government, and I really appreciate like Njugush, Butita, and the guys who went to speak on behalf and to change some things that we want on the government. And we have a government that seems to listen, or is seen to listen. I'm saying that because, as you said, we need to give time, right, to see if they have really listened.
Yeah.
You know, you can hear me, but you cannot listen. So let's see if they have listened. When they act on it is when we'll know if they listen. Because, again, there's so many taxes. From the other thing that people are not talking about is the taxes that were put on phones. Because I know some of us have cameras, some of us rely on our phones.
Yep.
I know they're saying they're ramping up local production, but the thing is, when you're doing that, there are some people who are losing livelihoods because they don't have access to affordable phones, because you've instituted 10% on taxes. I think in terms of fundraising, the two things that are really critical is the whoever is giving you money, even if ni friend yako, your mom, your sister, kuna kwanga na ile like, what do you have to show, right? During the form your due diligence. So for creators, what I've noticed, especially when we came to Baraza, we noticed that, one, most of the creators and people within the media space are individuals. And it's the business of me, myself, and I. You know, so I'm the accountant, I'm the marketer, I'm the PR agent, I'm everything. And that becomes really difficult for any, let's say, grant maker, commercial funder to come in. Because dealing with individuals, even as you've said, Njugush, they'll fund this company for that company to fund you.
Yeah.
And that's where PR firms flourish, because they are the ones who are funded by Safaricom, then they fund the content creators, and they are the ones who keep the 90 days, 80 days, you know. So that's the main thing, because they're the ones who, they are the agents, right? I think first of all is to formalize, right? I think the easier way to cut that is to formalize. Arakani biashara ya wewe, you, myself, and I just follow the legal processes of having something structured.
Yeah.
That makes it easier for somebody to fund you and hold that company accountable. You remember Njugush ama Adelle register Adelle.limited. If Adelle.limited does something wrong, it's to some extent you can shield yourself, right? So from a legalist or lawyers in the house, mawakili wanaweza how that works, right?
Yeah.
So that's one from a legal point of view that enables you to get now the money. That was the main thing. Like there's some people that I know for a fact, the funder came and said, tutawapatia, leteni your budget, leteni your documentation. They didn't have. And for a whole year, we kept on chasing them. Tafadhalini, where is the papers? Like, just do even the simple math, like in, out. Pesa lingia, to make this much, to you know. So that becomes very difficult for somebody to fund you, because unaweza kupatia pesa upotee.
There's some level of accountability.
Yeah, which has also happened here a lot, even at Baraza, when some people mtu anapotea. So that is one thing that shields people from like funding and supporting the creative space.
Got you. We'll be speaking to the Kennedy. I can see you popping your head. I haven't forgotten. Allow me to bring into and to segue into the other part, because tutakuwa na session ya fungua roho, malizia ile umeleta. Usijali tuongea. Because we were to speak as well to legal issues as well as the emerging trends. Emerging trends, Kennedy, Kachwanya, and as well as Rahab will speak to that and whether we're worried about that. But there's something that was mentioned by Rahab, and that is the cyberbullying, and you'll speak to that as well. Last week, or I believe or the week before, there was a case where a TikToker, was facing charges. You just hold it to your mouth when you're ready to speak. And this was, I think, for the sentiments that were posted against Aziad. And seeing that, first of all, it was uncomfortable hearing whatever was posted being said again. But does this set a precedent, and does this say something to the other content creators who feel that they're safe behind a platform or even an account that they can't be traced? Does this say something?
I think the first thing I'd like to say is that, and I'm saying this because I think I'm older than most of you people. So it's important to look at this industry as just one little part in a bigger world, right? So, like for example, we've spoken a lot about taxation, but there are so many other issues: IP rights, cyberbullying, and cyber harassment. And then there's the issue of why are you being taxed in the first place? Yeah, if you exist in this country, you're existing in another space of that there's a revenue deficit, and the government is looking into every available space for that. So I work in policy research and advocacy, which is just basically working on the law before it becomes the law. And I really, really like to historicize everything, not only because I'm old, but also because I think there's always cycles of history, and if you're not careful, you go back to the past. And so as much as content creation in the digital economy has a lot to do with Gen Z, there's so much to learn from the history of Kenya. Go back and look at the point when the internet came to Kenya. It also coincided with the return of multipartyism, and that is why it started by being a super open space where there was so much freedom of expression, which your parents did not experience, right? And it seems like we're having these cycles where we're going back to, let's control everything. If we can't control through technical means, let's control through the revenue. Let's also touch some of these spaces. And just commenting on some of the issues that the panelists have talked about, including community, there's a lot to learn about from how people have come together in the past and not only reacted to what the policymakers, the government has put before them, but also made their own agenda. Yeah, people have gone to court. Look at Kenya Union of Journalists, Media Owners Association during the migration from analog to digital TV, and how they resisted the setup that the government was coming up with. Bloggers Association of Kenya, when the cybercrime bill was brought, when it was still a bill, and how they organized and resisted and brought attention to the issue, right? And created precedent, even if they didn't quote unquote win the case. It's really important to see content creation and the digital economy as one small part in a bigger space. And one of the big changes that has occurred, which brings positive and negative things, is this cybercrime, Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act, which on the one hand is really protective in that it creates all these cybercrimes in a more, especially for cyber harassment and cyberbullying, it creates more tools with which somebody can react if they are cyber harassed. And there has been precedent, even before the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act, there has been precedent that has been set by the courts, and people have either gone to jail or been punished severely for cyber harassment. Yeah. I think the only issue is that it's not the easiest process. It's not a straightforward process. I mean, court processes sometimes take so long. So, and many times the cases have also been brought by non-governmental organizations which are acting on behalf of the public interest. So sometimes it's not also always like a person representing themselves. They have to seek assistance. So it goes back to the point of community, that community is very important and people have to help each other. I'm glad people are starting to think about policy and creating a proactive agenda for what you would like to see in the law. I was listening to one of the content creators who the teenage people in my house like, talking about filming and all the hurdles involved, the licensing and the facilitation involved, and how you have to pay so much money. And I was just thinking, there's so much work that has been done by researchers, academics, NGOs on the content policy in Kenya and how it has evolved over the years. And somebody just needs to pick it up, and when you have an ear of these policymakers and ask them, can you make this change and that change? Yeah? There are so many problems with, even when devolution came, part of content policy is with the national government, another part is with the county governments, and they also want to raise revenue. And so there has to be a conversation on how that can be balanced, because at the end of the day, people also have to make money.
Thank you for that context. I really want you to speak to, unless you missed it, a week ago, there was a young man who was arraigned because he had spoken one or two...
a lot.
Yeah. Yes. And people would call her and, just hurl insults at her, and this is Aziad. And this is the name of cyberbullying. Does this do anything to stop that moving forward? Does it does it show any other content creator the authorities can catch you?
I think it does, to some extent, act as a deterrent, ili iwe funzo kwa wengine, that freedom of expression, which is there in the Constitution, is not an absolute right? That, like, you have to be within. You can't be, hate speaking and calling people to go and attack another person in the name of freedom of expression. Yeah. I think to some extent it does speak to that. I think to another extent it could also be damaging on a lot of the work that has been done in all these issues to do with creating what is the opposite of pollution? An unpolluted, a cleaner online environment, because it has also raised all these, are they called blue pill or what are they called? The anti-feminist league. Yes, and you know, some of that misinformation keeps spreading outside that legal sphere.
Yeah.
So there are many sides to the issue.
Okay.
I think
And this
it's
is a civil case?
No.
Or this
It's
criminal?
a criminal case.
Okay.
In fact, it's Republic versus Brian Shearer. So it's a criminal case. And in fact, there could still be another case based on sharing of personal information, because allegedly he also shared the personal phone number, and this is also a crime under another act called the Data Protection Act. So I think there could be many sides to the issue.
Yeah.
There are many spectrum. There's a lot of sides to it, and there's a lot of work to be done in cleaning the online environment and making it a safe space for everybody.
GK, you wanted to speak earlier, and you said you do have a background in accounts as well as legal. Do you see any policy gaps or legal issues that are stifling economic growth within the digital space? And you can also speak to that issue that came up last week in court.
I would say that he had to see that somewhere else. He didn't just come and break the internet with what he said. There are people who've been continuously speaking as he has. And I would say even to some degree, I have been bullied by mainstream media. And there's also been like a publication by a very reputable newspaper that said some defamatory things about me that were not true, and they have continued to exist without any kind of repercussions. They didn't face any kind of. I did not take it to court because it's going to be a long process. It's going to be tedious to me. It's going to be very financially costly to me. It's also going to be very emotional for me. So that reputable mainstream media has decided to go and take information from what I would say kienyeji media, kienyeji sources, just going from somebody else's tweet and being like, oh, this and the other was said here and therefore it must be true, and taking that and publishing it on a newspaper. It's defamatory. I would say it's cost me friendship, relationship. It's cost me myself, me. And also, I would also like to point out about my mental health, and also my colleagues' mental health. It's like people in this space are not allowed to exist as people, I would say I started as a storyteller. And so when I was new, everyone was excited about me, and everyone was like, oh, wow, did you see GK Nyambura's latest story time? And I would have told a story that was just like, that had just happened a year before. So it sounds like it's from a past life, but now that it's happening on the ground, it becomes everybody is involved kind of story. So everyone else wants to be involved. Everyone has something to say. Why can't it be that I'm existing as a human being and my thing is private, and whatever I've intended to be private is actually private, as compared to people coming to pry into my business? It's different when I bring a story to the table to when someone comes to me and tries to pry open and find a story, dig in and just like forage into the bag and here's a story here, look. And they're trying to actually embarrass you. So I would say the media has had a hand in trying to publicly embarrass, even with the titles that you see on newspapers and on articles online. The articles have outrageous titles.
Right.
Like I would say, I had, on Instagram where you have a question tag, and people send you questions, you know, and you answer. Someone said something about they intentionally infected someone else with HIV on my question tag. And I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. So I reposted it and I was like, that's insane. And also it's a criminal offense. So that's not allowed. But the next day I woke up to publications like, I intentionally infected someone with HIV and my photo is right there and I'm there and I'm like, me? First of all, I don't have HIV, one. And then in fine print it's written, JK Nyambura fans are telling her in her question tag. It's in fine print. People who are far-sighted can't see.
Yeah.
It's just in JK Nyambura, I intentionally infected someone else with HIV, which I do not have. But then the next morning when I wake up and I'm living my life and I'm intentionally living and creating and being myself, there's thousands and hundreds and tens of comments of randoms being very intrusive and saying very defamatory things.
And having an opinion.
And having an opinion and no consequence.
Right.
And me reacting to that, I'm on my third Instagram account. I am. I've been losing accounts. In the last 2 years, I've lost 2 accounts. Although I still have 50 something K followers now, and I've been on for 6 months, I would say it's because of who I am and how I keep watering myself.
Yeah.
And now I keep saying that I'm the one who's creating.
Okay.
I'm the one with the product.
Let me bring in Wajiro Gohe from Fumbua. She's mentioned something there, misinformation, defamation, and how it's affected her as a person. But speak to it, because this is in your purview and you look at it on a daily basis, you follow it, misinformation, defamation, how it affects the creators, content creators, their work. I'm sure they interact with you, or at least you intervene in 1 or 2 cases as Fumbua.
Yeah, and it's very, I'm glad you've asked that question, because I was just thinking about, fine, we do a lot of training with regards to digital resilience and digital hygiene and digital safety, and those are fantastic things. They're within our programs. It's important that people know how to protect themselves online. But what I was thinking about as Nyambura was talking was, how do we, like, what can we do collectively about this, especially the gender disinformation? Because it really annoys me that you can wake up in the morning and you're trending because you posted a picture of yourself in a bikini. And I'm like, listen, I really, there's something that Esther Passaris did. I think it was sometime when she was first running for governor, and she was really harassed, she was really being harassed by online, this www. I don't want to mention the whatever, but www.johntenyulembaya.com, whatever. And what she did is that she sued this publication. And if you Google Esther Passaris, you will not find any online I'm not talking about Twitter accounts or Facebook accounts. I'm talking about online publications. They don't talk nonsense about Esther Passaris because she put a stop to it through legal action. And so just to reference the case of Aziad, I was really happy when she went the court route. I mean, how she went to court it's another conversation, not for this newsroom, but really, but the fact that she went to court, I'm happy about that part, because it means that there's something, like she's doing something actively. Yeah. And I was wondering, is there anything, and I speak, as Fumbua and as Baraza authoritatively because Maurice is here, is there anything we can do? I mean, the digital lessons and everything are important. You learn how to protect your account, etc., whatnot. But also, is there more we can do, like the legal way, not legislation, but just liwe funzo? Yeah. We are getting a class action against this group of people, and we're going to court na mtajua mjui, just because we can't be talking every day about people being afraid to express themselves, because someone who lives in somewhere is going to post and is going to organize people on Telegram to come and insult you. I mean, something has to be done beyond I love the trainings, because it's important, but also beyond that, how do we put a stop to this? Yeah. How do we set precedents that you can't just wake up and insult someone?
Gotcha. I just want to give a chance to those who haven't spoken. I see 2 hands popping up here for the audience. If someone from the technical team can get a mic there, as many hands popping. Kennedy Kachwanya, you need to speak first as the chairman of Kennedy. This is coming to you. The mic will also go to them, because We were to get into the patterns and the trends, AI and whatnot, but as a chairperson of the Bloggers Association of Kenya, you have at least some visibility on these developments, legally or otherwise, not just locally, but also in the region. You could give us some context, just as has been shared by Grace, on issues such as this and how far we have come. And then we can get the reactions to this particular sensitive issue that we brought up.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. So I'll start with something that Grace mentioned. I think the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act, we are still in court. We lost the first part, yes, but it's still in court, so we appealed. So it's still an ongoing process. When you look at the act, obviously there are good things about it, and we didn't complain about the good things. We complained about some of the bad things. And I think what Njiro was trying to talk about, like the way Brian was arrested, of course, the question came in mind is that criminal or civil? Obviously, defamation is civil. So if I say something bad about you, like what she's saying, I think that's probably fall under civil case. The only problem we have is people tend not to go to court because of the long process and cost. And I think if we can, now like the policy, like Grace was saying on the policy front,
yes,
if we can find a way that process become cheaper,
yeah,
and faster,
gotcha,
would be good. And also on the mainstream media, I think there's also something that you can also use. We called Media Complaint Commission.
Yes.
Through Media Council, which is not as expensive as the cost profits. Actually, it's free. So I would advise her, at least on this specific case, because she's talking about the mainstream media, at least to also try that. You don't need to do much. I mean, just report and then allow them to now follow it up. This is not court. So I'm saying court is a long process, and that we need to find a way that it can be faster. But there's Media Complaint Commission, especially when you say it's a mainstream media. So they should deal with that. They should deal with that. They should not just leave it to just complain to them. I think you can write, yeah.
And also something else, I just want to say something.
Get him a mic, get him a mic, get him a mic. I know he has a deep voice, but what's your mic?
So anyway, I just want to clarify something. So the Media Complaints Commission, it's part of the Media Council of Kenya. The Media Council of Kenya is a government agency. So the Media Complaints Commission, it deals with all media. So let's say, for instance, if you can prove that someone actually creates news, it doesn't matter for what platform. It can be YouTube, it can be Instagram, it can be TikTok, whatever. You can go there and you can actually complain for anything. And the process is free. Just go Google Media Complaints Commission, Media Council of Kenya. Everything is free. Our former president, I went and complained and he got a judgment. So they can either give you money or they can ask those guys whoever has said something that's untrue, they can ask them to apologize or retract or whatever.
Gotcha. So Kachani, just finish your point. I want to open it to the people, and then in almost a creative way, call me creative or not, but because I was to ask about the trends and I wanted Rahab and Kachwana to deal with it, I'll start with Rahab, but this will be like a conclusion because I want to bring in the people who have questions so that we don't lose the questions that they have. So
so I hope that could help, at least in some of these instances where people feel the process is long, and the court process is it's not going well. In terms of monetization, I would just try to say that one of the bigger problem with the international platforms, for example, because that was mentioned, is that, for example, Twitter, for example, now started to share content with creators, but they say you have to have 15 million views in 3 months. I think this guy is in front here, that is a child play, but us behind here, us behind here, yeah, for them it's a child play, 15 million views. But for the children, yes, it's it's hard to get that. So that's the thing with the whole space. So it's not really even. But the good thing about it is also I have it from Safaricom, for example, is what they call the micro-influencers, where yes, they work with the bigger guys, but they also work with the smaller guys.
Okay.
And that's a good thing, that the micro-influencers thing is, and if you ask them, sometimes it's hard for these bigger guys to do content, to even get them to do a few content for you, but it's very easy to get the micro-influencers to do for you as many content. So I'm not against them, but I'm just saying the smaller people should also get something so that we have, like what Butita was saying, we have this inclusive money spreading behind there for the children.
All right. Well, let me just take a question here. If you could pass the mic to that lady in the yellow. And Kate Rira, media personality, I see you have a question as well. Did you want to bring up something?
No, I wanted to talk about AI.
AI, let's have it in a conclusive discussion because we're talking about the future and the trends, and we'll speak to that. So we'll start with the lady in yellow. Identify yourself, and if your question is to someone specific or it's a comment, go ahead.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Atieno. I work with Nairobi's Trust. We are a digitization organization that brings micro-influencers to be bigger influencers. So my question is, we've spoken about funding. Fumbua has spoken about misinformation and disinformation. And in the civil society space where we speak about gender-based violence, sexual reproductive health and rights, etc., etc., if right now we launch a tweet chat to speak about wife beating, trust me, that thread will only have disinformation and misinformation because people are coming there to validate why if your wife speaks wrongly, then you should beat them. And it becomes difficult for us to push correct narratives in conversations like that, especially in threads on Twitter, for example, or on Facebook, without leveraging on the influence of bigger people seated ahead here. We've gotten the privilege with working with someone like Njugush previously, but then the funding space is continuously changing, and we are having a difficult time validating why we need 1.8 million to bring Njugush to do a 30-second video, okay? So how then can we partner to ensure we churn out correct, impactful information to audiences that actually need this information, leveraging on your influence without using you, but then having, without having the content creator talent or time misused, but correctly churning out social impact narratives that will actually transform societies in avenues that we need when we need it. That's my first question.
Oh,
and
there's another one.
Oh.
We kind of need to keep it short and also give someone else an opportunity. But you can ask your question.
Okay.
Ask your question. Ask your question.
I think
I'll
it
grant
left.
you that. I didn't know. No, it's okay.
I think it left.
What's that? Oh, okay. No, it's just that I hadn't announced that we need to ask one question each at least, so you can give an opportunity. But
No
was that specifically to someone or to everyone?
To every one of us.
Okay.
Yes, on the panel.
All right. Now, who wants to take that first before we move the Adele, you want to take that question?
Yeah, I think on
who's next?
Issues that are affecting the society, if we're talking about like issues around gender-based violence, etc., it's good to look at it holistically because Njugush is not perpetrating, but maybe someone in his audience has a belief that could lead them one day to perpetrate, right? So how do you measure your impact? Sometimes we run to be very visible, but our impact is to try and erase this person. Let's call him John. What did she call him? Jonte. Let's call him Jonte, right? Oh, yeah. So who actually influences Jonte's thinking process? maybe it looks more like having a conversation like this, a very open space for them to talk about certain things. And then you bring Njugush in, not to create content, but at the end to meet these people and to validate that this is a, stop thinking like an incel. Let's move this side. That way you've made a lot more use of your budget and you've not spent 1.5 million on, you'll still get money. You'll still get money. I'm still making sure you make money, okay? So let's say it's 1.5, you've not spent it on 5 videos, which then it's very difficult to measure the impact, but you've spread it across having town halls like this with the actual people whose mindset you want to change, and then you bring Njugush in as a guest at the end, right? So I think sometimes, because it's very difficult to say, how can we still use you to do ABCD? I still have to cost certain things. I still have production costs to meet. And so it's very difficult when those conversations start, but we can restructure what the campaign looks like. Yeah.
My take home is you can bring the money to Social Newsroom Townhouse. We have a better we have a better rate card. There's another question at the back there. Is it the lady in the red?
Sorry, I just wanted to build on to what Adelle said. The other thing about partnering with these content creators that I think you need to tap into is authenticity. Don't just, or let me say, you'll have better success if you reach out or collaborate with someone who's been affected by that issue. You'll find that there are people who are passionate about whatever it is you want to amplify, who can agree to do it simply because it's something they believe in, and then you'll see they won't even charge you. And I think if you're using someone who's authentic, it'll also be able to generate for you more engagement and create more conversations, as opposed to someone who has a lot of eyeballs but doesn't really relate to whatever discussion that you're trying to have.
So there's a lady in the red. Yeah. Oh, and was it? I can't quite see. Ask your question, sir. Make it brief. Direct it to someone. You can speak.
Okay, thank you. My name is David Indeje. For this particular purpose, I'll say, okay, I'm a journalist and Bloggers Association of Kenya member. I'll not introduce anything else, but for the thank you, Kachonya, for the Media Complaints Commission.
Yeah.
However, the current discussion that is happening in another space is to build their capacity, so that also the judiciary can also respect that body as a safeguard for people. Because many times, if an institution is taken to court based on defamation and other things, they'll run you down completely.
Yeah.
So that's why the complaints is there. And then I liked what Adelle spoke about our community, and it's something that we need to really give a big thumbs up to Bloggers Association of Kenya, because when I joined in the first place, what they were trying to create at that time was to know who exists within Kenya, across Nairobi, across the counties. And I think it's something that we really need to prop up back to continue. And why am I saying so? Because I don't want to say mainstream, quote unquote. There's a discussion happening right there around fair compensation. And they already have a set of principles, things like diversity, equity, small people. How can we really renegotiate very well with the big tech so that they are standardized in terms of how they are paying for this particular content from content creators, so that they don't do it in a fragmented kind of view? Because I understand currently the discussion that is happening, they go, let's say for instance, to Capital FM, they engage with Capital FM separately. And because of the non-disclosure agreements, they will have another set of agreement with the Nation Media Group. You won't know, but if it is a standardized kind of way, I don't mean that the pay needs to be equal, no, but there need to be a certain matrix that is used to fairly compensate guys. And I believe now an institution like Baraza Lab here can really be part of those bigger discussions.
Yeah.
And then I'm just commenting, then I'll move. And then regionally, what I know, Maria Ressa, through the Reporters Without Borders, they have constituted a body, and the closest that comes next to our East African region is Uganda. where CPES has been chosen to be part of the AI international community to come up with an AI charter for news media. And I think for people who know that institution, we can try and see how we can plug our ideas through them so that when this charter is being formed, it's from an East African kind of ideation.
Yeah.
I think this one contributes to this particular discussion.
All right, that's more of a comment than a question. Thank you. Just pass it on to the lady in red.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Weslin. I feel honored to be in this forum. I'm not a creator. I've heard you though. I'm a marketing professional. So first of all, I've had some people mention micro-influencers, and that word makes me cringe. There are words like VIP that just like very other non-important people.
They're just people.
Like non-important people, and then micro-influence. I don't hear comedians calling themselves micro-comedians or micro-media. Like I wish there was like, anyway, that was just random thoughts. So what I was thinking, so I'm just going to switch it up. I've had a lot of creators, you experience a lot. I apologize. If there's anything we can do on our side, just let us know. Like if you guys can like flag people who like are bullies online so that businesses don't work with them. If there's a way like you can defund them, like, or someone like Shira, if he's going out harassing people and he says he makes 100 Gs online, maybe find a way for, fine, not continue being online, make that 100 Gs, but all of it goes to like anti-bullying campaign or something. Like, it's insane. But Paul, okay, my comments are...
You've made two. Keep going.
So I think I speak for some of us in advertising when I say, is there any way that you guys could, first of all, have more business conversations? And when you do, please invite us to them. One thing on my side is, so fortunately, I've worked with agencies, and also, I've worked in companies that work with agencies to buy, and also I've bought independently. And I'll tell you, I think I just enjoy working with creators, so I'll have ideas of how to go about it. So but it's not common. Us guys in marketing, we're not creative in working with you people. So if you guys could spend more time educating us and don't just depend on the agencies, or work with the agencies to come up with forums, to sit with us and just tell us, if you're working with this person, here's ideas, because like the ideas that I've seen, especially anyway, they're very disappointing. I'll tell you. And you know, sometimes you try to like talk to this agency person and una realize, megonga wall, you just let it go, like whatever, because you don't want to create issues. But if you guys, I think we work a lot with like Njugush, Mike. If you guys can
Njugush, unafanya kazi na kila mtu.
Animalipo waseme hivyo.
Please create forums for us to teach us how to work with you, because this is a new thing and we don't know. So what happens is we send you a poster and we tell you put it on your profile, you know, and I'm sure it irritates you. Okay, so I can tell you, there's a time I worked with size 8. Let me just allow me to mention, I don't know how it rubs anyone when you mention one person. And size 8 used to come, and where I used to work was a bit out of town. She'd come, sometimes the hubby, and yani she sits with you, and she takes you through and she tells you, you know, like she takes you through, you buy into it, baka, you know, you get ideas. So I think that worked, but I hardly see that with anybody. But that time I used to work directly with guys, so there was no agency. So that really helped. So the time we worked with her, like it was very easy to see the results. So that's my request. Also, like I didn't even know SPM Buzz was for Butita, you know, like the other day. I just brought stuff. I'm like, can we work with these guys? I can see them online. Yeah. So the other request is, so this is the last one. The reason you find us going a lot to the mass media is we're under a lot of pressure. It's not my money I'm spending someone's money trying to sell something. Or even if I'm a business person, I've spent so much money to create something and I need it to move. So before I decide who I'm working with, I need to know that it's a sure shot. So what happens is we have experience with traditional media. I know for sure if I put my ad on Citizen, I don't even need to check. If it's something on their shelf, it will move. If it's something in their shops, it will move. And you know what the benefit that the mass media has is that they're kind of collective. But they work based on regions. So that's their strength. I think the strength of creative is that you guys are strong on, is it psychographics? Like, yes, no, like you guys can put, so every day in marketing groups I hear, who knows influencers on every day, I'm not exaggerating. I'm looking for influencers for medical. I'm looking for influencers for real estate. You guys advise me for, and it irritates me because I'm like, I feel like is not structured, but I understand it's new.
Yeah.
So if you guys, and I'll task the OGs, the Butitas, Madam Adelle,
OG.
and Mr. Njugush, I'll task you guys and allow me to mention Churchill. I don't know the relationship you guys have with him. I feel like he did great with comedy because it was easy. When it came to On Ground, it was easy. I'll just go to Churchill. On Churchill, I'll get On Ground. If he goes to Eldoret and I work with Churchill, I get all these people. They all mention us on stage. I know my sales. If I'm launching something in Eldoret, done. It's also on NTV. So I'm killing two birds, and it's on air all week. So if there's an aggregation that can come up for creators, because now I struggle. I have to be like, I have to work with 10 different people. It's so much work. If there's an aggregation, but yours can be based on psychographics, and just create that, then it becomes easy. I know when I book this group, it's a storm. I don't have to create the storm myself and be like, bring Adele, if you guys can help us with that.
You said your name is?
My name is Wesleyan.
Wesleyan, marketer.
Yes.
Let's give a hand to the marketer. So there's a question there, and I see one, so please let's get a mic ready for this. So Kate, Rita, and then we'll come to you. Kate, you go, you're good. You're good.
I wasn't intending on standing, but she insisted that I do.
Yeah,
Shout
you're
out
good.
to Baraza for inviting me for this. Actually, today I was supposed to sit in the background, Mark. I was just studying. I came to study. Because, I think it's my 11th or 13th episode of my podcast. I was like, let me come learn from among the best.
Thank you.
But I think for me, it's a comment and a task I want us to have, because I'm speaking to my industry mates. Those on the upper seats, na sisi wote. We have a task at hand that is quite big. And one of the tasks is that the government must dance with us. Right now, Claudia is dancing with the government. That's why she's dancing to the tune very well. The problem is the drum stops sometime after 5 years or 10 years. But after the drum stops, have the institution be set for us. We've seen it before. We had a musician in government. For me, they didn't get me what I wanted. I was so happy when a musician got into government. I was so happy. I was like one of us. So we want to see the same thing. And there's one thing I know that works so well. If you guys don't know by now, the law is what gives people power. The Belgium law instituted in Congo so many years ago gave them rights to mine in Congo for years and years. So what do? How do we create laws that will work for us? There's something I'll agree with. GK said and Mama Michael said. Mama Michael. Period. He said, we're young. So me, 15%, yo, talk up. And there's something I hate about governments. And it's similar to the Christian God. They said it's a jealous God. Anywhere they see a little bit of money, wanataka kunyakua. Remember when the betting institution came, quickly, zimeni ya watu. As soon as SportPesa, Betika, and the likes were doing something good, they were shut down very fast. So it's a culture of many governments to want to shut people when they see just a little bit of money. I recently saw them that they want to discover what cryptocurrency is and nyang'anyas. And I'm like, yo, you guys, like, study fast. Kaa chini msome kwanza, mjue, hii biashara inaenda vipi. And why I'm saying that, the study fast nature, is because when I look at governments like the Korean government, the Rwandese government, there's something they're doing that we have not read yet. These are governments that have preceded us, on the Korean one, not the Rwandese. But the two things they have done. I came to learn that BTS, we all know BTS, it's a government institution. It's powered by the government. Yes. It is to push the Korean culture and the Korean agenda to other places, continents. The Korean, the Rwandese government, was the time they picked up Sauti Sol, among other Rwandese influences, to push Rwandese tourism. So we go to the American people. The American culture, America is the best place to be. And that's why you see all these people singing about America. So it's until the government uses us to push the African agenda, and especially the Kenyan agenda, is when we'll start to bring that money they are coming to steal from us. Because it's stealing. And you're stealing from a kid. I think we're kids. I feel like sisi ni watoto. We are children. We are children. We are children. We just arrived. We just arrived. You cannot, because I see the numbers when you see the likes of Jay-Z in the billions and things like that. Other than, of course, the drug money and other things, entertainment has played a big. Oh my God, is this live? Shine. But he's confessed it. He's confessed it. No, okay, I didn't say that. We're not gonna say. I didn't say that.
We need
GK. This is the reason why.
At least you're lawyers. You can
let's focus.
defend
it's
yourselves.
Yeah,
your point.
But anyway, what am I trying to say? I'm saying we have a time now where governments want to sit and speak with us. They want to listen to us. Wanatuletea talanta hela na vinginevyo. We have to make them as a non-negotiable. You guys have to do what we want because they need us. Let's not play around. They need our numbers. Acheni kudanganyana. Although politicians are the biggest celebrities in Kenya, we have to set non-negotiables. If you want to ask for 15%, we want this. You're still taxing our cameras. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you want us to give us that money, make this institution work. And I think also we're really tasked right now to study these other industries that have done well. India is an industry that does so well with cameras and like the entertainment industry, other than the fact that they are the biggest population, one of the biggest population in the world, they're doing so well. Nigeria the same, South Africa the same. South Africa passed the law that they're going to be playing, I think, 97% airplay or just 90 something. And us, we're still playing with, I don't know what we're playing with. What is our percentage? How much? 60-40. No. That's still not fair. Still not fair in an African country. If you ask me, it should be 99%, 1% for Wazungu. Because this is an African country. Because how many times do we get played there? So what I was saying, actually, at the end of this conversation is we are tasked to create a serious institution and laws that will work for us. That's the only way this thing will work. And we make it look like non-negotiables. If you want this 15%, tufanyie hivi. Because then we'll have these conversations. We've had this forum so many times, and it's getting tiring. Now that we have this opportunity, let me see us go there.
Itakuwa makosa msipompigia makofi. Hand it over to her. Your name and your question or comment.
Thank you. It's a question. My name is Milimani. And those people with money problems, that's what I do. I'm a financial consultant, therapist, and coach. So we can definitely talk on the side. Now, mine is a question. Everyone seems to agree that community and building that board or that area where we can be members as creators is very, very important. But I would want to ask, what is the next step? Okay, you're there as a micro-influencer, there's another person watching live and so on. What do we need to do now that we know community is important so that we start making journey towards that? And especially when it comes to, she said something very important. Every 3 years, 5 years, people move from boards, others come. Like, what do we do to make sure there's continuity in the things that we have interest in as creators?
All right.
Can I just?
Yes.
Yes. So, cut the cameras for this one. So, because it's still undercover, midnight meetings. Soon there could be space that represents us, that you come and register as a member, and then we use that to agitate and work alongside government, because the cameras are running, okay, soon. So I think it's important to belong to spaces like this, because you also have to inject yourself, but we also have to do the work of going to the vulnerable communities, the underprivileged who can't come to Nairobi, and ensure that we have them registered and we speak to the needs of Nyeri. What do they need? More music studios? What exactly are the needs for that area? So those conversations are happening, which is great. I'm excited once again to be Kenyan. But another thing I think is very important in terms of sustainability, and when we go into these spaces, is not only to meet with governments, let's say at top level, and not only to say we want to talk to ICT, but we also have to involve other ministries, right? So we have to say we want people from education there, because I'm not going to be here throughout. How do I make sure Jonte's younger brother has the skills for what this digital market is asking for now?
Yeah.
That conversation starts right now, and it means in 3 to 5 years, we're not having the same conversations because we're speaking to a different need. We've already solved this problem. And the last thing I'll say is, even when we agitate for things that will serve our economy and our space now, but we also agitate for things that will change things in the future. For example, youth sports culture. I don't know how that is one docket. Honestly, when I see it, I'm just like, what are you saying? This is humanly impossible for one. That is too wide. How do we break them apart? Countries like France have a whole minister for culture. All right? So it's no shock when you go there and you find that I am an artist, and we've taken our culture. This is how I've spoken to the history of France, which is sketchy, but like for a long time, right? Because they've been intentional.
Yeah.
So when we agitate, let's speak to the different needs that we have, because education is a need, innovation is a need, but then also let's talk about the certain issues we're seeing now in how the government is framed. It might not take one regime for us to change an entire ministry, but maybe it's going to take 10 years, but we have to start. But there's things coming up. And the last point, sorry, because Maurice is here. I feel like what is so important, and it speaks, Wanjiru asked such a great question and we didn't answer her. She said, what can we do in this space when we're talking about cyberbullying, etc.? Can you imagine if a statement from a credible institution like Baraza Media Lab comes out and says, we are against ABCD? You know what I mean? Sometimes you don't even have to put certain sanctions on people, whatever. It just means now people will be like, oh, okay, so we trust these guys. You know, they'll think 10 times and there'll be repercussions that maybe the law will take 10,000 years to deliver. Okay. So we need stakeholders to also stand with creators loudly and say, we don't stand for this, we don't stand for that.
All right. Claudia, I know you want to speak about it, especially as you answer, and Moshiri will speak too. If the government indeed is responsive to such requests as brought up by Kate, if the government is responsive in your engagement with the government, and as well as someone who's participating in the creative economy, is the government really responsive? And Butita can nod yes or no. Yeah, that's a yes? Okay. Speak to that.
So, Kate, thank you for what you just tasked us with. Yesterday, actually, I was having a conversation with Waziri, who's in charge of youth affairs, sports, and the arts, about having ambassadors who put Kenya out. So I believe there are so many things in the works, right? When Waziri entered his office, I am not defending anyone, and I'm not defending the government, but when Waziri entered and when he was given the docket, he had a meeting with creatives from the film, from music, and so many of them, and they gave him a list. There's a whole booklet. I don't know if it's available, but some, I think guys like Carol Radul have gone through it, and a couple of other guys, but I think I'll put in a request for it to be available. I said I'll put in a request. I'm not no special person, but there's a booklet of what the creatives said, what they wanted done. Yes. So now that Kate has tasked us with something. I believe each and every one of us is going to hold the ministry or the government accountable, because some representatives from, I think we all go through the same challenges, right? Guys from film all go through the same thing, tuna complain, oh, we're not getting paid well, etc, etc, etc. So we can actually be accountable. We can speak up because we're the ones directly affected by it. We have the opportunity. No one, you're not speaking up, and no one is stopping you from speaking up.
Gotcha.
So there's that, and there's also the lady in yellow who spoke about gender-based violence. I personally have an initiative called Claudia Naisabwa Initiative that supports young girls, and just because I come from a patriarchal society, so I know how young girls are affected by this. So we can have a conversation around that.
Way to plug herself. Good job. Butita, umesema government is responsive?
No, I'm just happy that Claudia can say we had a conversation about it. It's something that never used to happen.
Okay.
There was a wall between them.
It's moving forward. Yes.
So we are happy it's happening.
All right.
Tajataja kwa waziri.
All right. Mike, real quick, and then Morris.
I want to say something in view of what you had earlier mentioned. And it's a good thing that you're reassuring us as as creators that there is an initiative, that there's going to be something where we can all, like come together and talk about our problems, right?
And build a community.
Yeah, build a community.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very nice. I'm not just telling you to have me on board if you're having people on board.
You're here.
But anyway, it's crazy. You mentioned about it's actually crazy when you think about it, that as creators, as influencers, we are not unionized. We don't have an entity that really are champions for our well-being and rights, and that brings structure to like our whole industry and community.
Yeah.
It's actually very, very crazy. And I think that's the thing that really fuels the disconnect between us and the government. You see, Butita mentioned that the 15% acquire the whole payment you receive as an influencer. It was actually for like a specific platform. And that's a communique that would be made by the union, if it's existing, to like all existing influencers, to like break the disconnect between us and the government. You see, even in matters to do with cyberbullying and...
Who is we? Give him a mic, the man with the heavy voice.
I'm sorry. Okay. The thing is, the chairperson is here, so of course I can't speak to this, but he will say the thing.
But you've already said you've done
anyway,
it.
So we spoke. We did a whole like what is it called?
Proposal pitch.
Yes, we communicated that this is what we've been doing. I've been personally as a content creator and influencer for 10 plus years, and I've been paying tax, and I felt so bad when I saw MPs spreading propaganda saying that we don't pay tax, and I thought that was like a bunch of nonsense. We engaged both the city committee that actually
exists,
Bloggers Association of Kenya.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Now, I mean, of course, when we started out, we were only bloggers, but of course we have morphed.
So is that like an umbrella that also
yes, because you see the thing is you don't actually necessarily even have to be our member. We take care of everyone. For instance, what Grace was talking about, we went to court to protect freedom of expression. I did not even know you existed. You're probably, I think, in high school or something.
Me.
You get, so the thing is, we exist for two things: to protect the space, but also to grow content creation. And you don't necessarily have to be a member, but support us. We work with all these guys. We work with KUJ, we work with Baraza Lab, we work with Box. All these guys, and for me, and what Adelle said about we need a new organization for us to be able to speak for our rights. We do not. All we need is actually more collaboration. The new organization can join the collective of people who've been working in this space. Yeah, so we don't necessarily, to be honest, I don't feel like it's really about new organization. It's really supporting the work the work that is there, and also trying as much as possible to understand the people who've been there and what they've been doing.
In the interest of time, let him respond as well.
There's also the question of visibility, because I did not know you guys existed. You see, I did not know that I, as a creator, I'm represented by an association that exists. You see, and that's why I'm with Adelle, like coming together and getting unionized. Because no offense by the Claudia, Butita, there's a bit of ambiguity when there's selection of a few individuals to represent us without involvement of a massive percentage of creators. You get, like there's a little bit of ambiguity, and that's, we want the reassurance to be there, that between us, the government, and also brands. And I think the only way to do so is to even deal with issues like cyberbullying and stuff, is to come up with like a union.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. All right. Grace, you want to respond to that legally? Okay. Is there a mic closer to Grace? You can hand it to her, and then Maurice has to speak as well. I think he's speaking to the point of community, because that's what really
okay.
And then we need to wrap it up.
I think it's okay for people to come together, but also more importantly to collaborate.
Okay.
And I think one of the issues, and speaking also to Talanta Hela, collaborate in terms of, and this is the point I'm coming to, in terms of also getting the public to buy into whatever agenda you have. So you know that one of the issues that took Talanta Hela to court is lack of public participation, because it appeared as if people were chosen out of thin air. And so maybe one of the things, and in furthering this agenda of the community that has been built here, is also to put it to public. What are these things that you're discussing, so that the public can participate? Because remember, this is not just about you who are influencers today. Tomorrow you might be in another career, you might be appointed into something, and you get into a totally different. So it's very important to get public input and public participation, and to also think about even giving part of your work. Not everything has to be like from a business perspective. You have to give your time to public policy issues. So it's really, really important to put it out there for people to comment, and not just think about everything as in terms of PR and launching, that you're going to launch something. What is it? Give it to us now, so that we can also give our input. We might actually be able to improve it.
And Maurice, as you speak, someone from online says, and this is Elsie Kifue, she says, content creation is a relatively new avenue globally. Do you think having an organization like the one for press journalists would help streamline some of these policies and like a code of ethics, for example, amongst other things?
Thanks for that.
Stand up so you could be seen.
Yeah, I'm also short. Short, dark, and thank you. I think, like any other thing, organizing makes it easier to negotiate. I'll give you a practical example. There are very few companies in Kenya that can influence tax. So your Coca-Cola, your EABL, your KCB Bank, because they have the numbers. So they can organize, two people can come together as Coca-Cola and EABL. I'm not saying they have done it, but they can, right? Coca-Cola and EABL and say, easy taxes a glass is going to reduce our bottles and increasing our revenue, because they are paying taxes. So I think organizing makes it easier for you to also showcase some data to people who can listen. And now we have a government that listens, or seems to listen, right? So we can use. Now I'm saying seems because again, I'm being optimistic and saying give them time, right? I mean, you can see photographers are taking pictures on Sundays in Tao like crazy. So there seems to be some listening going on, right? So if we organize, and organizing does not always mean that there has to be some goodwill from everyone to come and say these are the most pressing challenges. Everybody has pressing challenges, and if we were to say Nipatie list yako, we'll have everyone will bring their top. But what are the big ones for across? That we can all agree on and say These are the top 3 that if we win this one, it's okay. And there's already existing organizations. So for me, it's to how do we empower these existing organizations to have a teeth to bite, you know? How do we say, we know that there's BEC, we know that there's Baraza, we know that there's creatives, I think there's a creatives council that was there, that is actually, these things exist, that is talking to Bank Association to use IP as collateral. So these conversations are happening in chambers and in silos, and I like what somebody said in terms of like, if you're doing it just because Morris is on that table and you don't want to share, then it becomes difficult, because then by the time Morris is leaving, this knowledge is lost. So there's need for more organizing. As much as we are tired of talking, there's need for more organizing like this, and then having top 3 priorities that we say, now can we all coalesce around this, and then let's solve for that, and let's hit the, what is it called, Chuma Ikiwa Moto, because we say the government is still moto, right? So now he's going to take advantage of that and make sure that we have some policies and laws that will outlive us. Yeah. Because you know, we're usually very comfortable close to power. So because now the government is close to me as Morris, I'm comfortable. I have no problem. Yeah. And that's the nature that people have, you know. But when this government leaves and goes a bit far, now we're uncomfortable. And you can see what is happening to media right now. Media was very buddies now, the you know, matchy shirts and red ties and conferences and Obama-like speeches, right? But now they are there. Yeah, you know, now they are put there, they are being told what to hear. So that's when you're seeing everyone is up in arms. But we are comfortable with the power. We are close. That's what is happening right now. Also as content creators, if you become too comfortable with power, when power leaves, you'll be on the other side, you know? Yes.
Got you. Let's give a hand to Morris, who's our host here, Baraza Media Lab. And then now we are at the final question, and I want us to address it with Kennedy, Rahab, and this is in the name of trends. And I'd like to, and then we'll bring it to Butita, Claudia, Njugush, and Adelle. And in the name of trends, I'd like us to look into a crystal ball, not the world coin one, but a crystal ball of where do you see this industry going in the next 5 and even 10 years with the trends of AI? Are you worried? Kennedy, Rahab, and then to the main panel.
So I think sometimes when you talk about technology, people get worried first. You know, like, for example, you know, the way they say AI will change things, and the media is where the first one to be disrupted. You have seen people, you know, can create content with AI now. So you sit back, and in some places, even journalists are being replaced. But what I see with that, for example, because AI, for example, is trying to create the thought process of human beings such that, you know, it can complete tasks. So you get a situation where you can sit back and give a question to Google Bard or Chat GPT, and it create for you content. And sometimes people are like, oh, that's going to replace us. Oh, that's great. But to me, it gives you chance. You know, for example, if you're a journalist and you're pitching stories to a different people, and you know, in reality, you can only write 1 story a day. This one will give you a chance to write 10 stories or 20 stories in a day and try to pitch it to the other people. You get. So my point here is sometimes, obviously, people look at new thing, and the first thing which goes on your head is the negative. And that's one thing that I've faced with bloggers and, you know, social media for a long time, because it started back in 2011.
Yeah.
For a long time, the only thing people used to see about social media is the bad thing. So if I'm asked to be on a TV station, the first thing is, oh, misinformation. Nothing to do with the best part of social media. Nothing to do with the best part of AI. So, you know, now people are like, okay, this AI is going to take our jobs. But that's there. Yeah. Any good thing, there's some bad aspect of it.
Yeah.
The best thing of it is how much can you use it. For example, what Butita was saying. Yeah. You are selling this. Like what he's saying, selling the air. That air thing, how do you create it? AI can create it fast. And already yes, yeah, AI could create that fast. So you can create so many mawingos. Yes, so that's one thing.
Yeah.
The other thing is how you can learn your audience. You know, when you are on YouTube or something, they recommend for you, you start playing Njugush comedy. All of a sudden, they will bring somebody who sound like Njugush next, right? Recommend. But that is the point of learning the audience. So when I'm watching that, they think I also like somebody else like that. So you as a content creator, you need to look at that and say, I can use AI to learn my audience. You see what AI, algorithm, what it's trying to bring to you.
Yes.
So you can use that to say what type of content somebody like me will watch. Grace was talking about people with TV in her house. So what do they like? And what else is being recommended to them? So you as a content creator, you're like, okay, this is what people like, and this is what can we recommend.
So the next 5 years looks good. I just have to kind of cut it short.
Yes. So to me, first of all, we have to embrace.
Okay.
We have to embrace the technology. So first, as content creators, there's negative of it. We'll talk about it. But the best out of it.
Gotcha.
So it's awesome going forward.
Looks good moving forward. Rahab?
I think the one thing I will say about AI is that it cannot replicate human experience, which is what I think a lot of content creators do very well. It can recreate news, but the unique stories that we think in our minds based on our experiences, based on our past, things we've gone through, our regrets, those things, the human experience, I think, is what AI cannot replicate. And that is one thing I'm not worried about. And different kinds of people working together. Artists working, like a visual artist can work with a storyteller to create different kinds of stories. So there's a lot of possibilities. But the one thing we have to realize is Adelle had talked about community. We have to build strong communities that look out for everyone. Because if we try and do things on our own, we will, like a stick, one stick will break. But if we are a bunch of sticks put together, very hard to break.
All right. Thank you, Rahab. And as you said, Claudia, now we're to the panel. You said yesterday you were with Waziri. Kama utampata next week, ama within the week, tunakutuma kama our ambassador, right? I mean, you've even heard it from Kate. So when then, the concerns that have been raised here, but how do you see it moving forward with AI? Rahab has spoken about it not being able to replicate some of the human experiences.
Yeah, I think we had this conversation, Pale, when we were preparing for this.
Yeah.
And I remember saying AI can't replace me. Because the main reason why even my employer hired me is because of my personality. The main reason why people follow my content or engage with my content is because of who Claudia is as a person, right?
Okay.
And I think creators, guys in the media space, entertainment space, or anywhere else should not be threatened by AI. Because what attracts, for Kwanzaa creators, what attracts viewership is who they are. So after AI can generate whatever it'll generate or whatever it'll come up with, it will not attract as much because it is not attached to a person, right? There is a face to the name. Yeah. And I think I'll just give my parting shot and I'll say this. I was at a brand immersion the other day and we were given a task. We were supposed to send one message. So we were divided in groups and each group came up with something really creative and nothing was like the other. Like there was no copying, no nothing. It was just uniquely different in its own way. And what I believe is a challenge to us and what I believe is something we need to work against is let's have healthy competition in the industry. We don't have healthy competition in the industry. I am a big fan of WWE from Kitambo. So John Cena and Randy Orton would do some weird skit. You guys think these guys hate each other. The fans, me, I'm a John Cena fan. I'm rallying for John Cena. And you'd think that these guys hate each other. but it's healthy competition.
Right.
Them behind the scenes, they're friends. I know so many, even I know some Kenyan creators who do the same thing. Kina KRG, Butita. It's healthy. There's something they put out there, but it's good. It's not that we're not being spiteful against each other.
Yeah.
And we need to work as a team. We need to interact. We don't need. Let's not be confined in a space with people who are like us. Let's interact. I am a Gen Z. I'm 20 years old, turning 21. I am friends with Butita in the entertainment space. Pablo Johnny in the marketing space. I have other people in other different spaces who help me think outside the box, who help me think outside my creative box. So let's, I personally vouch for us to work as a team. And there's so many things that surround the entertainment space, surround the creating space, and so many things that are factored in. Let's make sure that in one way or another, we link ourselves with those factors.
All right.
And that's just it.
Butita?
Yes, AI. Okay. Yeah. As a strong supporter of AI, when do I use this or so? Both. Okay.
Is it good with the handheld?
Okay. So now, when the AI craze was everywhere, like AI, chat GPT, what nini, and everyone was like, hey, inakuja kupoteza job, this thing is coming to replace people. I took my time to understand this, the most trending platforms, because there's a wide range of AI tools. Chat GPT, BAD, AI, is it RPM or PRM, something. So I looked at these things and realized one thing. As much as some people see them as a disadvantage, they are a very big advantage to the creative industry and to everyone. Because I felt, I've tried prompting AI and I realized that the best, if you prompt it in a good way, give it more details, it gives you the best. So I feel like AI will make us better. It's not coming to promote laziness. It's coming as a machine to make us do better. So if you are performing at 60%, you can raise that to 90% because of AI. I remember there's a day, I think it was like 2 a.m. at night, and I just tried to go to ChatGPT. I had a pitch the following day, and I explained everything the way I could see it. Hey, I want to talk to this guy about this and this. This is what I do. Nini, on Friday, this is what. And I wanted ChatGPT to generate a pitch. And the pitch came, and I was shocked because it would have taken me like a whole day to get someone to put that together. So I'll just go to the pitch and correct some few details. But that was me speaking that has been made better by the AI. Gotcha. So for all of us here, if you are not using AI tools to make your work better, please go and try it today. Just reach out. This thing is phenomenal. Yani iko tops kabisa. But it's how you prompt it. It's not a laziness tool. It's a tool to make you better.
Got you. All right. Blessed Njugush. AI threat.
With Njugush, you start by
grow up. Grow up. This is collaboration.
Now,
they do this a lot online.
I think Butita. So I think sijui niko na vitu mingi za kusema, lakini for now acha niseme about AI.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about artificial insemination. No, just hear me out.
He's making his point.
Butita, grow up. Because it's bado lazima ikue. Butita. Yeah, I'm coming from where I understand. Lazima, as much as it's improved, as what Butita is saying, it's an improved version of what it was.
Yeah.
So the was is still there. So that doesn't change. Mimi nitaogopa saa zile artificial intelligence itaenda kufanya activation gedhurai. Another point I'll give is when I post a poster, a client amenipatia poster, like a graphic poster. Ikona, this is the package we are selling. When I post it, it doesn't get traction. Hata wakieka sura yangu hapo. But if I take a photo, mimi niko tu roiro na mangombe zangu na nini, that photo does better. So we are social beings. So if I see a photoshopped photo of you, I'll be like, but if I see you in somewhere I don't expect you to be, sasa huyu alienda kufanya nini? Like, let me give an example. If you see Eric Omondi in that shuka of his, you're like, aki huyu mtu ni mjinga. It's human. But if something AI generated, sijui kama unanielewa, it's no longer the same. 2, 3, about impacting lives. And about what she's saying, about how us, we have the impact, we have that voice. How do we impact life? Saa zingine huwa sichaji hiyo, na nimeisikilia hapa hiyo 1.8. Pengine mligongwa. Mimi nikavadiwa kitu. Now, haki nikianza, yeah. So, walikuwa AI generated. So, how we give back, how we go out of our way to do ABCD, that will never be replicated. You being a human being, that can never. We have computer, they'll come, but we've seen they actually do more harm than good when you're talking about cyberbullying. You get, so my point is that will never change. However, I have an issue, and we are talking about coming together because I have an issue with the, I'm sorry to say, they are not here, but I have an issue with older generation. Because for them, it's competition. It's very easy today to see me do something with Butita. Nata nisicount. Actually, do inakujaga. Hiya, by the way, sasa inakujaga badai because we are pro. There was a time I'm a brand ambassador of a particular brand. And then someone older comes and start pitching mbele a client. You know, we can do a better job, yeah? Hey, I'm like, so how do I get into a company? How do I get into the same umbrella with this person? So, and I'd like to maybe, for the guys who are fresh hatujaribika sana kwa industry, if it be, and you're seeing it happen with content creators, like in Austin Mongai, they are shooting, hata ujuangi nani ako kwa nini ya nani saa zingine account ya nani, because they are always together, and baadaye do inakam. So, like for example, tumekuwa tukitukana na kina Butita na Adelle, then from nowhere a client anasema, naweza wapata hivyo mko watano. And you are better, you bargain better mkiwa hivyo than ukiwa peke yako juu utaulizwa sasa 1.8 nikipatia Njugush, but it's easier tupatiwe 1.8 tukiwa watano na bado tumemgonga, unaona? So in terms of AI, I think it's doing better. It's doing like kitambo tulikuwa tuna typeset. Even before to typeset we kwa cyber ilikuwa tumetoka huko ile ni ile type yani nini, then tukakuja kwa typesetting, unapeleka cyber cafe uandikiwe size script na iandikia kwa simu. So AI is the, for me, if I'm tired of writing, Njugush says ha 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 ha, if I can be able to say what I'm thinking, because first of all I have a problem translating Kikuyu. I think in Kikuyu translate to Kiswahili to Kizungu, you know na? Yeah. So if I'd be able to say these things na pia nitume kwa client approve, it means I'm spending less time, approval napata haraka kutoka kwa agency, client is happy, but at the end of the day, mimi I always say protect your hapa, because at the end of the day, I think for a lot of content creators, that's all we've got. Yeah.
I like that.
I think in terms of AI, before my parting shot, it's just to look at how it can help you with your processes, basically, to help your processes run faster or cheaper, so that things are a little bit more accessible and your output is still of a high quality. So there are AI tools. I know sadly we were in our workshop last week and we did explore certain tools that help a podcaster's production process move much faster, and then your output sounds like it was recorded in this high-end studio, but it's still accessible for those of us who don't have access to those studios. So there is some good. Where I would be skeptical is in ethics and in terms of like, what is it mining? And those are conversations that I think are ongoing. And also in terms of representation. So some of the production tools we use don't actually know how to produce the African intonation, which is very interesting, and it's a big problem, especially for podcast audio. So what does that mean? That means then, as Africans, we need to innovate those tools for ourselves. And now is the time for us to do it. So again, in terms of AI, I see that if I was a techie, I am not, that would be a place that I would jump into and fill in that gap. So there's skepticism yet, yes, but we can speak. It's not impossible to figure things around that. last thing that I will say in terms of my parting shot is I think it's important for us to think about community and what the community needs. And sometimes it's Baraza creating the space, and then the people come and they decide what it is that is the issue. I think we need to speak governmentese. It's very important to actually speak. It's like in the NGO world, you speak developmentese. There's a language that these people understand. So we also have to understand lobbying for change. What does that look like? It's actual lobbying. It's boring work, right? But we need to be very organized and say, when we meet like this, we've spoken about our issues. We have legal minds who are part of this creative economy. Yeah. How then do they say, okay, great, now this is how we'll put it together? Or there are existing organizations that we say, you've done the advocacy, the research, you give it to us, we amplify it in this certain way. So as much as, yes, there's community, I feel like we need to tap into our ancestors who led change, used to meet undercover, right? Midnight meetings, and they would organize. The musicians were singing songs of protests that weren't really love songs. People organized, right? And everyone knew my role is to do this. That's where I see our community going. And then we then have to say, as Africans, sorry, like, it's really Pan-African. Like, the work we're doing right now as creators on this continent is really light work. It's really going to be impactful. So don't think about it as, I'm an influencer because I share my beauty regime. Not that that's bad. Yeah. But what change? What's the long-term thing? What am I trying to really change? What impacts am I trying to create? That will lead you to step back and build a business or an organization around this post that you're doing. And if we can all have an inner calling, we'll be in these spaces because we're not here only to talk about money, which is great, the 1.8, but we're like, I want to see kids learning. I want to see kids learning about AI in primary schools, in a public school. Why not? You know? So I think we just need to sit with ourselves and understand what's your inner calling as an African, and then how does it come out in the work that you're doing every day.
Thank you so much, Adelle Onyango, and the rest of the team. I know Kennedy wants to make a point here, but we'll have to leave it at that. It's 9:35. It's been 3 hours, ladies and gentlemen. So give yourselves a hand. Adelle Onyango, Blessed Njugush, Claudia, Butita, GK Nyabura, Moshiri here, period. Thank you very much. Ama sisemi vizuri? Period. Grace, thank you very much. Money? Milipata money. I got the money. Thank you so. Hey, Laban, you're here. It's good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you so much, Rahab. Thank you, Morris. Who was our host? Let's give him a hand as well. Kennedy, asante sana. Pole sijachukua hilo swali, lakini it's just because of time wa Ajiro. Thank you so much. And Madai for being a bit of a, protester. Wa Madai for being a bit of a protester and standing up for big rights. But anyway, this discussion continues. Community, community, community. And thank you as well, Vivian, for that, your contribution to this discussion. We had the marketer here. We appreciate the silent ones here who have a lot to say as well. Asante sana nawaona. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a drink for each, for everybody. The drink gani? Sad to say me. We have a drink. Let's celebrate that for the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a very successful episode of the Social Newsroom Town Hall. This is the fourth and very successful 3 hours of this conversation. We have had 3 issues that we've looked at. A lot more to be discussed, but this is a very good, healthy discussion. Thank you all for turning up and being very attentive and contributing. Have yourselves a good night. Have yourselves a good night online. Thank you for contributing and watching. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a drink. Good night.